Come on in. Hi. Ooh, I'm sitting on my hard drive. Hi, everyone. Come on in. Who do we have in here? Hi, Cuff You. We got to give it a minute, Cuff You, since I decided to go live last minute, like usual. Let's see. I'm assuming you put it in Discord. Hi, Ella. How you doing? Oh, there you go. Thank you. Oh, yeah, duh. How would you put it in Discord if I didn't put the thing up till just now? Okay, I'm gonna. Oh, yeah, duh. How would you put it in Discord if I didn't put the thing up till just now? How about that? All right, there we go. Hi, PK Val. Welcome, y'all. Come on in. I probably could have looked at my hair a little better. Ooh, look at that gray streak. Someone needs a dado hair. Whatever. I know you did, Cuffy. You're the best. I didn't tell Truth that I was going live. Meanwhile, my thing's right here. Maybe I should have. Since I just went live, I don't know. Wait, I should just copy and paste my last one because that's what I wrote last time. Sorry, my hands are in your face. All right, here we go. I'm back. Oh, I lied. I'm back now. Now we go. All right. Hi, Casey. Hi, a wise woman. Come on in, you guys. Come on in. Come on in. Yes, you got your puff, a wise woman. Do it. Do it up. I ain't judging over here. Who else we got here? We have Casey, PK Val. Can everybody, how about I put this over here and turn it on? There we go. Ooh. I had it unplugged by accident, so hopefully you can be better now. There we go. I do apologize. I work really hard during the week. But anyway, Cuff You helped me put together something for my last minute live. And I think we have something good here. So what we're going to do is we are going to look at a few of the, whatever, we're going to see how it goes. But we're going to do the Epstein videos. You'll see what we mean. So I guess I'll just start because why waste any time? You know what I mean? So here we go. So I wrote a few things down because I didn't want to be completely unprepared. So that's why it's 11 and not like 10-ish. But I don't like not feeling like I'm prepared at all. So I had to put something together. So this is what I have so far. And I'm just going to roll with the punches. But I put that we're not just going to be watching or reading tonight. We're not going to read all the documents. And we're not just going to watch creepy Epstein content, but we're watching a case study. And this is what I want everyone to remember. So remember, you watch certain channels for certain things. This channel, or at least my intent, is to bring you the psychology behind a lot of these things. So instead of just seeing this as a reaction video to his odd behavior, which obviously that will be part of this, I really want you to remember that we're looking at a case study in coercive control. So what do I mean by coercive control? This is just how a predator builds an entire ecosystem where resistance becomes psychologically unlikely. So we're going to see grooming. We're going to see things like where you're going to see that, in my opinion, and allegedly, from the few minutes that I did get to see, we're going to see things like normalizing. That's a big one. So normalizing, in my opinion, is a part of that grooming process, right? So yes, we're going to look at these videos, and it's going to be a trigger warning environment. But the goal here, remember, is to identify patterns. So that's what I feel like I do best, is identify patterns. I think part of it is because I've been teaching for 22 years And another part, I don't know, I'm just good at this. And I have a memory like you wouldn't believe. So I tend to remember things and then I'm able to place them together. So let's look at our first clip. So let me share my clips here. If anybody came in, hello to you. Let me see. People are still coming in. Hi, Harlot. Harlot's here. What's up, Harlot? So let me share my first video with you. So this is the thing. So we have a few videos here that Cuff-You helped me put together. But the first one that I would like to watch is about, where is it at? Here, let me see how, oh, I could just make it bigger this way, duh. Let me make sure you guys could see it first. You can. I keep forgetting that I have it right in front of me so that I didn't have to do that. Okay, so this is the first one. Where's the thing to make it bigger?
This is a newly released.
Okay, so real quick. Ooh, I didn't mean to do that. No, go back to where I was.
It's October 2000.
Hold on. Here we go.
This is a newly released hand.
So let me preface this. So this is Dr. G. He is awesome. Please go like, subscribe, and share to his channel. I already have. But we're going to look at this first clip. And again, this is Dr. G. I will make sure that, I'm sure we'll put the link, Cuff-You will put the link in the chat, but I will also make sure that it goes in our description so that we make sure he gets credit. I'm going to jump around, so we're not obviously going to play it, front to back because you're just not supposed to do that, but we're going to watch a lot of it. So let's watch this first clip.
Written note made by Virginia Giuffre, the vocal and visible accuser of Jeffrey Epstein.
Wait, real quick. The reason this isn't the one. Hold on. I was like, wait, this isn't the one. Where is the one that I'm looking at?
Hey, everybody. Dr. G here.
It's not this one. It's the one right before this.
Next to what I think each one means so that you can decide for yourself.
Oh, what happened? All right, hold on. You guys,
next to what I think each one means so that you can decide for yourself if you agree with my assessment or if you think it actually means something else.
We have a few videos, but I think that the first one that we need to watch is the one that has to do with...
Hey, everybody, Dr. G.
No, is this the one I'm looking for? I'm looking for the one where yes, I think this is. It is. Okay, so I think that we need to look at one where we see who Epstein is. Then we're going to look at the mansion like a little bit closer. You're going to see some of it in here, but we're going to look at the mansion closer. And then if we get to it, there's stuff about, Dr. G's like, could he have been planning an escape from prison? And he's like, normally he would have thought that would be a conspiracy theory, but he looked into it, just to look into it. And he comes up with some really interesting just things. So even if that's not related to that, based off of letters that he found in the prison. I feel like this picture of Epstein needs to go in my thumbnail. What do you guys think? I think so. What is he doing? Here, let me make it smaller so you could see it real quick, because that is a picture if I've ever seen it. I wish I knew how to get the chat off of the screen. It's so annoying that I don't know how to do it. Let me try real quick. Hold on. Oh, wait, hi, chat. Wait, hi, chat, up and see. I did it. Oh, wait, hide on stream. Did it work? No, it didn't work. I don't know how to do it. It's all right. I'll try to figure it out for next time. Would you guys rather me keep it big or do it smaller so that you could see it? Like, I don't know which one would be better for you. I guess I'll just look. It looks like he's examining the tile, doesn't it? Or he's really messed up, like effed up or something. I don't know. Guess what? He could be examining the tile or something. You're right. Because look how pristine this is right here. So that would be a good observation. And look how clean it is over here. That's interesting. What do you guys think? Yeah, God only knows. Seriously. Who knows with this guy? Hi, Swanee. You've watched Dr. G. He's great from what I've watched, isn't he? So I haven't seen a ton because I've only been on YouTube for like I think it's like 7 months, 8 months now. I don't know. It's been longer than I thought it was. But I didn't find him until recently. And I found him when I was doing a behavior, what do I call it? Oh my God. Behavior breakdown. Oh my God. I just had like an old person in it with Dr. Schultz, who I need to schedule to come back. I feel bad. I keep telling her, I'm like, you have to come on. And she's like, just let me know when. And then, I don't know, life has just been crazy for me. Everything that could go wrong has been. But we're going to get to it because tomorrow's a new day. So let's see what Dr. G has to say here. Come on. Oh my gosh, I'm on the wrong part. Here we go.
Here, I'm a clinical and forensic psychologist as well as a body language expert. And today,
oh my God, did you guys just hear what he said? He said, I'm a clinical and a forensic psychologist. Who did that sound like? Dr. John. I just was like, wait, what's happening? Clinical and forensic psychologist. Okay. That was interesting. All right. I don't know what's going on with this either. What the heck? Oh, there we go. I was like, what just happened? Because I wanted to put me at the top so that you guys could see the most of this. There we go. I'm just going to stop the video for a second while I get this started. All right, here we go.
We're going to be doing a forensic analysis of the worst of the Epstein files. Before we get started, a couple of quick things. One, I wanted to make sure you know this is not a psychological evaluation of any kind.
Yes,
These
he
are
says
just my
all
opinions.
the things
In addition
that
to
I
that, I
say.
do want to remind you to like and subscribe if you want to see more content.
Definitely
just like
like
this.
and
All right, let's
subscribe.
go. Recently, several 100,000 Epstein files were released, but there's still probably millions more to come. What we're going to be doing today is analyzing the worst and the weirdest that I've found. Now, as you may already know, there is a lot that has been redacted. When I say a lot, I mean thousands, tens of thousands of pictures and so forth have been redacted. Just page after page after page with pure redaction. So the whole page will just be a big black square. No idea what's on those pages. If it's protecting the victims, I'm glad they're redacting it all. If they're protecting other people, obviously that would be an over-redaction. Hopefully that's not the case. Now, part of working on forensic cases is
Okay, so he goes through all of his things, and I already give you guys my big spiel. So I feel like I could do you guys that he says the same stuff. We're not diagnosing. This is based off of our knowledge and our experience, and we're just breaking down behavior, showing patterns based on all of that.
looking at the actual pictures. But I think being able to understand them before we look at the pictures will help color them and will help you better understand what we're looking at.
I agree.
To
with
really
that.
be able to understand.
Oh, I'm muted. Was I muted? I was muted. Oh, Harlot, maybe you have to refresh. Okay, so all right. So again, so if you heard me then, everybody else, same thing as I always say. Oh my gosh, look at this real quick. What is he wearing? What in the and what is that? Does anybody know what this is in the back? Interesting. I love looking at the stuff in the background.
All of these pictures and all of the documents, you really need to understand who Jeffrey Epstein is and what motivates and what drives him. Now, obviously, this is someone who likes power. He likes being around famous people. But more than anything else, he is driven by massage and fantasies around massage. Not
I so agree with that.
Not the actual massage itself, but sexual fantasies that he ties in together with the massages.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you look at what the victims have described, when you hear what they have to say, this is someone who has very unusual sexual behavior around massage. So this is some sort of fantasy world that he's created. What he desperately wants is to be wanted. He wants these adolescents and these young women to want him. So he creates situations where he's hoping that they will do things voluntarily. They will do things on their own, which of course they're not going to.
You guys, the other thing, excuse me here, that I think that we have to remember too, is that why would somebody then want these women? And think about it, because he has very powerful things. He can offer them things that maybe they're not able to get on their own right now. And we see that happen all the time.
These are just ridiculous fantasies that he has. He doesn't seem to understand social dynamics very well. He doesn't really understand other people very well. But he's very wealthy, which plays very well into that.
Just in case anybody doesn't know, Ghislaine Maxwell is currently doing time in jail as a co-conspirator. But from what I've been reading in these files, the stuff that I have been reading, if half of it, 50% of it is true, like I'm saying more than half of it is true, I'm sure, but I'm saying like if just half of it was true, she did some horrendous things. And it's interesting because he goes after these younger females and she's like throwing herself at him, or like, in my opinion, allegedly. And you'll see what I mean.
Here's where Ghislaine Maxwell comes in. She understands Jeffrey
She likes
Epstein.
opportunity.
She knows who he is and what he wants, and she is the one who tries to make the fantasies happen. She tries to find people that she thinks will fulfill that role for him. She gives them direction. She tells them what to do. She asks him to write letters and to write thank you notes and all of these things. That's all guided by her because she basically is trying to provide him with the fantasy that he so desperately wants. I think the dynamic between them is very much actually like parent and child. I think that at his core, Jeffrey Epstein is totally stuck in adolescence or maybe even younger.
Wow.
And Ghislaine Maxwell very much is opportunistic. She very much saw this opportunity. She's taking control. She's trying to provide with him, trying to curate fantasies for him.
Wow, that's so interesting. It makes so much sense. I never thought of that. I haven't seen this yet, you guys. I at first I was like, wait, what? Now that I think about it, if he has an arrested development in his teen years, but the interesting thing is, if you look at Ghislaine's upbringing, you'll see that she was very much so like, she like idolized her dad, but they had a weird relationship, but she like tried to do whatever she could to like gain his approval and attention. And when he died, in my opinion, she just transferred that to Jeffrey Epstein, because he also was powerful like her dad and had money like her dad, and provided that. So that would be interesting because, in my opinion, when we look at intergenerational transmission of whatever you could put many things there, but we look at intergenerational topics, you do say like parenting or parentifying. That's the word I'm looking for. You see that she has this odd relationship with her dad, and now Dr. G's pointing out this odd relationship with Jeffrey. So that's interesting.
And so she very much is in absolute control of everything that these victims do. So this incredibly perverse, bizarre, and awful dynamic between Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell is at the core of what we're seeing here. And I cannot overstate how obsessed Jeffrey Epstein is with massage. His entire life is hyper-focused around massage and these strange sexual behaviors. So on the one hand, you have a rich, powerful, likely psychopathic, immature man. And then you have a woman who wants to help indulge him in whatever it is that he wants, tries to create a fantasy world for him because he lives in a fantasy world. Now, in terms of how these pictures are organized, we're going to be looking at some that were actually released on December 13th. The vast majority were released on December 19th. But some of them from the 13th were so interesting that I had to include them in here as well. Now, this picture right here was from the dump on the 19th. Massage for Dummies. Now, this is far more significant than you would think, because I want you to consider this is someone whose life is obsessed with massage. He has massage tables, dozens of massage tables in his house.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. He has whole massage rooms. He is obsessed with massage. He has everybody hired for massage. So if you have somebody like that is obsessed with massage, why would they have a Massage for Dummies book? It's because he doesn't hire people for massage. He hires people because he lives in a fantasy world and he fetishizes some behaviors around massage. He has some bizarre fantasy that he insists gets played out. So this shows you everything you need to know. This is not someone who is looking for massages. This is someone who is spending the vast majority of his mental energy trying to figure out how to live out these very specific fantasies. But part of fulfilling that fantasy is that somebody maybe has a vague idea of what they're doing massage-wise. So obviously he's not going around and hiring.
So real quick, I want to see, like, in my opinion here, I think that he also, I don't think that he wanted massages either, but I think he wanted girls that he could train that were vulnerable and ignorant, just meaning ignorant in the sense of not educated about the world yet because they're young. And I think all of that, in my opinion, was also part of the fantasy.
Hiring massage therapists for the vast majority of this.
I also, just for the people that just came in, can I just make sure that everyone knows what coercive control is? Because I told everyone in the beginning not to necessarily look at this as Like, don't look at this as like, oh, this is a weird video. I want people to look at this as a case study that we're going to be doing, but a case study in coercive control. So coercive control, just based on, I didn't really get this based off of a specific definition, let me be completely honest, but I teach this. So this is what I would tell my students, and we would have our book in the background. I will look up and put in the description after the live a definition with a reference. But anyway, coercive control is pretty much when someone uses their environment, their power, surveillance. We're going to see that here, psychology. I think we're going to see that here, to dominate people without needing force. So that's the important part. So you're dominating people without needing force. So you don't make people comply with threats. You make them feel like resistance is impossible. That's what I wrote down. So with that in mind, keep that lens when we look at this. We're going to see things like different rooms in the house, I'm assuming. I've seen little pictures here and there, and I believe this goes through the rooms, I think. We're going to look at intimidation, stuff that he has around. Priming is going to be a big one. So priming is when you surround yourself with cues that normalize, like I was saying earlier, what's about to happen, so that your brain resists less. Okay, so think about that. So your brain will resist less because you're primed. You already think that this is normalized, like I was saying in the beginning. So all of this is going to play a role in this. Okay, and we're going to see that, you have to remember when you're 15 years old, 14 years old. I mean, some of these girls were so young. A lot of them feel threatened, right? And now if they know that you have them on any type of surveillance, even if you're not, I don't know if he is or not, but even if you just have cameras up and you're not even taping them, just the cameras there are going to be intimidating. These massage tables, all of it.
I know some people were professional massage therapists, but the vast majority were not. So this tells you everything you need to know about what a perverse guy Jeffrey Epstein is, and how hyper-focused and how hyper-obsessed he was with the fantasy around massage, not the massage themselves.
Right, here we go.
You'll see that there are some words phonetically written out. Bayu, bayushki, bayu. This is a Russian lullaby. But basically the two lines of the song that he has say something to the effect of like, hush, don't lay close to the edge. It's basically an old lullaby that's a cautious tale of if you sleep on the edge of the bed, a gray wolf can snatch you and take you away. But if you have an old American saying this to an adolescent Russian, I would take that as some sort of threat, as some sort of caution. Hey.
Right? That's like a threat disguised as like playful. That's like a covert threatening. Wow. So it's like trying to make it sound less harmless to other people.
Watch yourself. At least that's how I would read it. So to me, this is incredibly creepy. I don't know who he said it to, but the fact that those were the two lines that he wrote out phonetically to make sure he said it right, I think is incredibly chilling and incredibly unfortunate for whoever was the recipient of this message. Now, as far as this release of the Epstein files, which some people have described as only about 10%, there's really not much about President Trump in there. There's a couple of pictures like this, but there's very little that actually references Trump in this dump of the Epstein files. Now, this picture right here, this is very consistent with the emails that he would send. He did not like President Trump. I know they were friends at one point, but by the time Trump became president.
So I don't want to show his whole episode because that's his episode, so I don't want to do that. But there were different things that I had that I want to let me see. I want to go through the house. I think I thought I saw house stuff when I click through. So let's see. What is that?
Allen would be the kind of guy who would invite Jeffrey Epstein to hang out on the set of his movie. They were extremely close. They spent a lot of time together. He's the kind of guy that the House Oversight Committee should probably have some questions for. Steve Bannon is someone else that also seemed to be quite close to Jeffrey Epstein. That's not a secret. He's come out and they talked about the fact that he did some 15-hour-long interview with him. So they are known to associate. Now, what's interesting about this picture is if you look in the background here, there's a photograph of what appears to be a woman passed out on a couch. Maybe she's awake, but it's a very strange position. Obviously, her face.
Great. Oh my God, I can't believe he caught that. Hold on, let me go back real quick just to see. Wow, talk about seeing things in the background. You guys, that looks like, is that a pic? Oh God, that's horrible. And look over here, it's blacked out, which means that that's probably also another victim. Wow.
Associate. Now, what's interesting about this picture is if you look in the background here, there's a photograph of what appears to be a woman passed out on a couch. Maybe she's awake, but it's a very strange position. Obviously, her face rightly is blurred out. But Epstein likes this picture so much, we're actually going to see it again later. He has it hanging up in a different room in his house. So he feels very proud of this.
What?
picture for whatever reason. So here's a picture of Jeffrey Epstein, Richard Branson, and the creator of the Segway. Now, one thing that we can say in terms of body language is that all of them have very genuine smiles. If you look at Epstein, for example, the way that his eyes are wrinkled next to his smile, whatever it is they're talking about, they all actually feel joy. They all actually feel happy about this. Now, I zoomed in on this piece of paper because I was kind of curious what it said since he was showing it off. And basically, I cleaned it up a little bit. It's still hard to read. But basically, it's calculating out some business idea. $400,000 times 30,000 people or something like that equals $1.2 billion. It looks like there's some kind of math, some kind of product or some kind of idea that they were talking about, but it's all dollar calculations that they're all laughing and talking about for whatever reason. But they all seem to be enjoying each other's company, that's for sure. Now, here's a picture of Epstein and President Trump. This was actually from the December 13th document dump. And you can tell this is a pretty old picture. President Trump looks like a bit younger, but you can tell at this point they look like they were close friends. They're standing very close to each other. I know it's in an enclosed space, but you tend not to be willing to stand this close to somebody that you dislike. So at this point, I think they were still probably getting along quite well. Now, if you look at that picture on the left, that's Bill Gates in an airplane. I presume that's Jeffrey.
Wow, I can't believe he did a really good job at blowing these pictures up to see who they were, because I don't know that I could have seen that.
Epstein's airplane. But if we go down, this is a much more interesting picture of Bill Gates. This obviously is Bill Gates many, many years later. He was relatively young in that last picture we saw. And this is where body language comes in, because this picture fascinates me. And it puzzles me why, when this was released, they didn't release the full picture, which I'm actually going to show you, because it's much more interesting. Anybody can look at Prince Andrew in that picture and tell that he has tension in his face.
You guys, look how scared Prince Andrew looks. Whoever he's talking to, we're going to realize. And this is just allegedly, in my opinion. I have a feeling it's going to be another powerful person, someone that Andrew's definitely scared of him telling something to, whatever it is, even if it's just like saying something, bringing up, I don't know, but doesn't he look petrified, or is it me?
As he's looking at Bill Gates. This was the one that was released by the House Oversight Committee. I'm going to show you what the full picture looks like. This is the actual picture. And the body language in this is fascinating.
My God. And look at his arm. That's like, hey, brother. I wonder who this is over here. Oh, my God.
So you can see Bill Gates just standing normally, body open, arms down, looks totally normal in that picture. Now, Prince Andrew, on the other hand, looks very defensive. His chin is tucked down. We do that to protect our neck. He's got his hand up and almost in a protective way in front of King Charles, which I think is so interesting. And the way that he's looking at Bill Gates right now, he is looking with an incredible amount of tension in his brow. So why Prince Andrew was so fearful at that time, I don't know. But clearly, King Charles looks totally normal in that.
Addie says, so are these photos his trophies on display? That's a great question. I guess it depends on which photos. I don't know if like all of these photos were out in the open. You know how like you have photos around the house and like, I don't know exactly. So let me tell everybody that too. These were released by the House Oversight Committee, and this is Dr. G. Everyone go like, subscribe, and share. And I'm not sure exactly. I know they got it in a raid, but I'm not exactly sure where they were found or how they were found, like what room, stuff like that.
Picture, just a very normal picture of somebody interacting with somebody else. But Prince Andrew is so tense. I don't know if he was afraid that somehow he would mention how they met each other, or somehow that he was fearful that Epstein would come up in some way. But man, Prince Andrew is dialed in, and he's very uncomfortable. I agree with that. There. Do you ever watch a trial on the news and then later find out there was go to the blind sources, pinned comment picture throughout this before we get to the most current document code. Again, it's ground.news/Dr. G. Let's get back to the analysis. Now, the last picture before we get to the most current document dump is a picture of Bill Clinton. He is going to be a theme that comes up over and over again throughout this, because I think Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton were very close friends. Now, Bill Clinton has said, or his representatives have said since then, he only knew him before any of these charges. He never consorted with him afterwards, but we know that's not true. Based on emails that have been released, they continue to stay in contact, and he wanted to stay in contact well after his initial conviction. Now we're going to look at some pictures inside of Epstein's house. I'm going to provide some commentary based on these various pictures, but I want you to keep in mind something I'm not going to show because there's just no point, but is important for you to understand, is that so many of his walls are just covered in pictures of naked people, mostly naked women, but not entirely. But his entire walls are covered with photographs of various people in various forms of undress. And to me, that just, he's trying to create a sexually charged atmosphere. That's the goal there. He's hoping that other people know who he is and understand him without him having to say anything. So that's the point of that. Keep in mind,
it's also about sensory manipulation, you guys. So, like he wants to manipulate other people's senses when they come in. So whether you remove sounds or whether you have exit in certain places or familiarity of like, you know, the naked bodies, and you're trying to normalize that, you make the brain go into like this compliance mode. Like, oh, well, you know, this is a little eccentric, but this is like normal for this guy. And it like normalizes it. And wow, we see this with like cults. this is crazy. And then like trafficking, and again, this is all allegedly in my opinion. But what would you guys feel like walking through this house?
The way that we express ourselves in our environment is a representation of who we are psychologically. That's true of anybody. I've said this on other videos. Someone who's disorganized inside, your environment's going to be disorganized. If you're someone who's very controlled, you're going to have a very clean environment. So keep in mind, the goal of having all those pictures is to groom. It is not because he just loves the human form so much that he wants to have all of this art to look at it. The goal of it is for people to understand who he is. Now,
he wants to like use his environment as intimidation, in my opinion. So this room itself, like, look at this room. This like sends a message that you're not safe here. You're not in control here. There's like no windows that I could see. It looks like once you're in, if you go in first, whoever's behind you is the one that could close the door type thing or shut the door or whatever. So it literally would make me feel personally like I was not in control, and I would not, like, that does not look homely to me. There's like cords hanging from the wall. What's this like shiny stuff on the wall? I don't know. Nope.
that doesn't mean that people can't have pictures with nudity and stuff like that, and it doesn't necessarily mean they're perverse, but he is. So understand that's why he has it. That doesn't mean that's why everybody would have it. But when you look at everything added together, it really makes sense why he keeps so much of that kind of material around his house. Now, the reason I'm showing this picture, if you see this cord right here dangling, you can see the connect. Well, you probably can't see very well because the quality is not great, but the connections here are audio video. So he does have a lot of things around the house that are capable of recording. Now, it could be that it was just a setup for a TV, but keep in mind, his house was capable of an incredibly complex wiring system.
Oh, wow.
Whether or not he was monitoring everything and secretly recording it, he certainly had the capacity to. His house had the infrastructure for that type of things. But then we start looking.
We also know that surveillance is a form of coercion as well.
In nearby rooms, these are the kinds of massage tables.
Think about it. Especially if you don't know that you're being recorded, like if like you could have cameras that are out in the open to intimidate, but you could also have hidden cameras, or have cameras out in the open and then have hidden cameras in other rooms, so that when you're in another room and you don't see the camera out in the open, you assume that maybe there's not a camera in that room and you're safe in that particular room. Then the person does something that can be taken out of context even, and at a later date it gets used against them as a form of coercion. And again, not even the person doesn't even necessarily have to say, like, if you do something, I'm going to out you or something like that. They could just show them the video and be like, oh, like, are you, we're good, right? And that's it. And that right there sends a message without even threatening. And, so it just, wow, this is like, oh my God, if he's not being, like, if he physically doesn't threaten someone, these cameras sure do, in my opinion.
I'm talking about. Let's look at the rest of this room so you can see what I'm talking about when I talk about how he fetishizes massage so deeply. So here's a shelf that's right above the massage table.
What?
Now, the shelf has all sorts of massage oils on it. It also has sexual lubricants on it. All of these things are meant to imply that there's going to be more to whatever goes on than just normal
Oh
massage.
my God, didn't Puffy have Astroglide too? And Puffy did the coercive control and the surveillance. I need to do a behavior breakdown and see if there's any similarities in behavior. So I don't mean that they knew each other or anything like that. I'm talking about in a behavior breakdown, because in my opinion, you see coercive control in Diddy's case too. I did a short on that, or a video or something, but he used a lot of these exact same tactics.
This is how predators try to groom people. They try to surround them with these things, try to normalize it as much as they can so that people feel compelled to do the things that he wants them to do. Now, what I presume is the adjacent bathroom, just because of the way the pictures were taken. There's also various sex toys and drawers. There's costumes here. These costumes are very consistent with exactly what I was talking about earlier, with the fact that he's immature, that he's into this.
Look, you guys, they're like schoolgirl uniforms. Wow. I wonder what happened in his school days. Like, I wonder, I need to look into his childhood. And again, not to excuse any behavior, but to understand, like, how did this behavior begin? How was it reinforced over time? And then how is it able to continue? And then ultimately, apparently, allegedly, end in his control as well, allegedly.
Role play, also wigs, and it's also cheap. That's one of the things that fascinates me about Jeffrey Epstein, is he must have been remarkably cheap, despite the fact that he owned a lot of very expensive things. So here's a good example of what's so strange about a guy like Jeffrey Epstein. So he has these gloves here, TKO brand, Title brand, some Everlast.
So I want to go further because I don't want to show his whole video. And Let's see. Oh my God, you guys.
This was done by an artist that was not hired by Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh my God.
Obviously, this is a picture of Clinton wearing the Monica Lewinsky dress. And so the fact that he has this right when you walk in, and it shows this from a different angle,
What?
right when you walk in the place, it is right there looking at you. So when you go into his house, the first thing you're going to see is this Clinton painting staring right at you. There's so many artifacts and pictures related to Bill Clinton. I just think that he had so much affection for him at one point. Now, he lost some of his trust because
Affection, but at the same time, think about it. This would be like an embarrassing type photo, and it would be a reminder of his alleged affair. Well, not even alleged affair. He admitted to it, but it would remind people that he was imperfect, just like you and me, type thing, and that would bring him down. In my opinion, that Jeffrey, could have seen it as a way to show that he had money, he had power, and that he did, deviant things too, like, doing the stuff with Monica in the Oval Office, and she was a lot younger than him, and da 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 da. So, and then like the dress and what's on the dress, and so all of that is like a perversion, in my opinion, and part of that fantasy, and also part of not degrading, but of like bringing down a few notches. In my opinion, this is him, like, in my opinion, like bringing him down, because why else would you put an embarrassing photo? Like, I could see it being like, oh, that was funny, but then putting it away or like getting rid of it. But if it's there for good, don't know that I would love that photo. Would you guys care about that photo? Like, to me, that doesn't look like something you would do to somebody you really admire that much. So I think he does admire him. I mean, I'm not doubting that. I don't know that, because I don't know enough is what I should say. But how would you guys feel if you were Bill Clinton with this photo? Would you feel like it was a friendly thing, or I feel like I'm like secondhand embarrassed.
Through his emails, you can see that at one point he basically said that Clinton can lie too easily. He lied to him about something. He didn't like that. But other than that, I think they were about as close as he could be to anybody. Now, this is a different angle of his New York apartment that we've seen before, where he has this absolutely bizarre woman hanging from a rope in a wedding dress. There's no accounting for taste. He has an incredibly strange taste in art, which is...
What? The actual... What the actual F is happening?
Is exactly what you would expect from somebody this perverse and that doesn't understand people. So much, at least to me, of understanding art is understanding people. If you don't understand people, your art's going to suck. And it seems like what he likes, what he's drawn to, is bad art, because I don't think he understands people very well. Now, here's an entire box of hard drives. So whether it was him or he had a
well, that shows that he definitely was maybe taping people, or that's some tape of some sort. What is this?
Things and keeping it on hard drives. This proves that. Here's another incredibly strange piece of art, whether it's something somebody gave to him, we don't know, but it's Alice in Wonderland fighting Little Red Riding Hood. It goes back to these strange fantasies that he has. He has these immature, adolescent, ridiculous fantasies, and he just seems drawn to things like this. Now, I talked about the boxing.
Wow, we have our A+ comment, I think. So, Addie says, I did field research on diverse subcultures. The main point was trust. You can't have power without trust, and it's usually the submissive that holds more power. Epstein's got it all upside down. That's so interesting, Addie. I love that. But I do agree, you can't have power without trust, because the people that are trusting you and putting their faith in you, you could either do one of two things. You could be pro-social and use that power for good, for like the good of mankind, or you could be antisocial, meaning that you're anti-society. You feel like you're above the rules, that you could do, things that are against the law and get away with it, stuff like that. But either way, you're absolutely right that it often comes from a form of trust. And even a lot of these girls, though, that were brought into the house, I don't know that they were they were victimized in a way that I'm not sure that trust was a part of that. However, what made him as powerful as he was in society, I totally agree, because people just trusted his word. Like, he got jobs that he wasn't qualified for and stuff, allegedly. And from what I remember, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he did. But that was all from somebody trusting that he was who he said he was, right? But that's also very antisocial behavior, like big time.
Thing earlier, there's his
And if you were saying psychopathy versus sociopathy, you could say that he was like covert in some of his ways. I don't really know enough yet to know, but he was able to socialize. He held his own. So, I mean, he was friendly with all the bigwigs and all the presidents and stuff and all the powerful people. And he wasn't an unattractive person. I mean, I don't know that I would have went after him. I might have swiped whatever it is when you want to go to the next person, but I could see how somebody else might find him attractive. And he has money, so he has resources. So on paper, if you will, he seems like, oh, wow, like Jeff Epstein. But in real life, it's like all a mask for something else.
walkout gear for boxing, which is just ridiculous for somebody that clearly doesn't actually do it. Now, this I thought was interesting. In his closet, he had police department outfits. I don't know enough about how the NYPD's outfits look to know whether or not this is actually like current outfits or if these are costumes or if these were something that were given to him. But I think it's interesting he has these costumes in his
Oh
closet.
my God, you guys, think about it. What kind of costumes are these? These are costumes. Oh my God, you guys, I have to put my thing on. Wow. Hold on. Hang it up. Wait a minute. Okay. Let me tell you something. So, in class, we talk about authority and research on what's the word I'm looking for? When people, oh my God, conform. I couldn't get the word out. Conformity. So we do studies on conformity and things like that. And one of the studies that we look at is the Stanford prison experiments with Dr. Zimbardo. I think I brought it up on another live, but the point here is if you notice the dress up, if you will, or whatever this is supposed to be, this is a person of power, right? So what else would you, so with a police officer, you have, it might be a different type of power, but you still have power over other people. So it's very interesting to then see over here these shirts, and it's like, so who were these people, and how did this shirt treat this shirt? Does that make sense? And how did this person use their authority or power over this person, even in a playful sense? This is like next level, you guys. Like seriously, like this is like when I like say like, oh, welcome to our dysfunctional family, we put the fun in this, like this is true psychological dysfunction. This is deviant behavior. This is disruptive. It's all of the D's. It's everything. All of them.
Now, here is a book that was given to Jeffrey Epstein by one of his victims. It says, once upon a time, there was a clueless little girl. How do I look? Through the whole book, it goes through this story. These are the kinds of things that Maxwell would tell the victims to make for Jeffrey Epstein. She was trying to help create this fantasy that they loved him and they wanted to create for him. They would do artistic things for him.
It was probably also a way to rationalize the thinking in that, you know, look, these girls really loved him. Like he was so good to them. Look, like he was good to them. He wasn't a bad person. And that also then makes him less culpable in, I guess, her eyes, allegedly.
He was responsible for this. This was never voluntary by the people who did it, because there's letters where they say, I hope that what I gave for Jeffrey was good enough. I hope that's what you were looking for. These people didn't care about giving him these things, but this helped create the fantasy that she believed that he wanted, which probably was right. I think she really did understand Jeffrey Epstein. I think that she was really able to curate exactly what it is that he was looking for. While Ghislaine Maxwell didn't literally make this, she essentially did. She's the one that was responsible for this being created. Now, here's a letter to Ghislaine Maxwell that is exactly what I was talking about.
Wow. Dear Ghislaine, I enjoyed writing Jeffrey a birthday letter. Oh my God, I enjoyed writing Jeffrey a birthday letter and reminiscing about the past. However, if it is not what you had in mind, please feel free to edit it or to tell me to write something else. Oh, that is complete control, you guys. I hope you can use the photos, the ones of the parachute jump and woman wheel are icons from his childhood. What? This is what I want to know. The ones from the parachute jump and does that say Wonder Wheel? Are items, so these are artifacts of his from his childhood, neighborhood. I thought you might find the place for them somewhere in the book. I'm looking forward to seeing the finished book. It should be very interesting. Wow. Considering the many different people Jeffrey has encountered throughout his life. Wow. Think about all the victims too, right? Please keep in touch and let me know what I can do to help. Best regards. That's terrible. That is so bad.
Fantasy for Epstein, and she did. But Maxwell definitely was trying to create some sort of specific fantasy for Epstein. Now, here's a sweatshirt from the IDF. I don't know if that was gifted to him. I don't know why he has that, but I know a lot of people have speculated that he had connections to Israel in this way. Things like this certainly are not going to dissuade people from believing that. Now, this is the full picture of something that I talked about in a different video. So this is this big blackboard of all of these words, power, deception, all of this. It just seems like this pseudo-intellectual nonsense. But now I much better understand why he had this. And it is pseudo-intellectual nonsense. None of this is meaningful in any way. However, when you look behind this blackboard, there's something different. So the blackboard, you can move the blackboard.
Tell us, Dr. G. I'm so interested.
And behind it, obviously, it's a man looking at a woman. And that is, if nothing else, represents exactly who Jeffrey Epstein is. On the outside, he's this pseudo-intellect.
Oh my God, do you guys see that? The man over here, that literally looks like him, in my opinion. And a woman over here, and they blurred out her breast.
Who wants to appear smart, and that's what he wants everybody to see.
I want to look from the front.
Obviously,
how the hell did
why he had this. And it is
How did you see that? Was that another picture? How did he see that?
Intellectual nonsense. None of this is meaningful in any way. However, when you look behind this blackboard, there's something different. So the blackboard, you can move.
Oh, I guess this is another picture. Oh, I see. Do you guys see it? I might have seen that. If I seen that, I don't know, or maybe I would have went past it. But good call, Dr. G. That was good.
Move the blackboard, and behind it, obviously, it's a man looking at a woman. And that is, if nothing else, represents exactly who Jeffrey Epstein is. On the outside, he's this pseudo-intellectual who wants to appear smart, and that's what he wants everybody to see. But behind it, he just thinks of everything in terms of how he sees women and girls. All of
that was so well said.
It's nonsense. All of it's fake. It's all just fantasy. Now, here we are back with Clinton. These are pictures that hadn't previously been seen, but it shows what a close relationship he has with these people. Maxwell's in there too. Now, the way that I see Clinton is very different than the way that I see Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein's someone who wanted to create elaborate fantasy and needed that for his self-esteem. I think of Clinton as being very different. I think that in a lot of ways they have some overlapping issues.
Oh my God. What? Look, there's another person back here. Another female, it looks like, a water bottle. Somebody over here that they, oh my God, in his little boxer briefs. Oh my God, how pissed would you be? Oh my God.
But I don't think that he cares about fantasy at all. I think that he wants what he wants, and he doesn't really care how people feel about it. He doesn't really care about.
Think about how he could use this in any sense. I don't know when these pictures were taken, and I hope to God they were taken after, you know, the presidency was over. I hope to God, because think about it. If they weren't, let's say they were taken before, during, or, you know what I mean? This could be, if this got into the wrong hands, I mean, like Jeffrey Epstein even, think of the power and manipulation you can have over someone using this to get someone to do what it is you need them or want them to do. Wow. Hopefully this was after, and if so, I don't agree with like cheating and stuff, but to each his own. I'm not judging either.
The fantasy created around it all. So I think they were very, very different in that way, but I also think it seems like they were very close friends. Once again, look how
however, it kind of does show a little bit of bad judgment, right?
Close they are.
They're
basically interlocking arms, very real smiles here. Squinting next to the eyes, you can see.
Look at them shirts. Oh my God, why does Jeffrey look like he's got his shoulders back like my grandma used to tell me to walk with my chest out? Is it me? Wow, that's a very feminine picture, in my opinion. What do you guys think of Jeffrey? I mean,
the way that the corners of their mouth are going up. These are two people that are really enjoying being together. These are two people who are very, very close. It's funny that this picture is right after the one of Clinton, because Virginia Giuffre had said that Maxwell is the one who would fly a helicopter.
I can't take it off, but you know what I can do? Let me do this and move me again. I forgot. I'm sorry. There we go. I don't know how to get this off. I have to figure it out. But if I pull up the StreamYard thing, it'll mess things up. So I will do it for next time, but I'll keep it like this. I totally forgot to do that. And I'm going to pause just my video for 1 second so I could let Thor out because he's going to start barking.
Around it. She was the one that brought Clinton to the island and so on and so forth. So it's interesting here to show her own enthusiasm for helicopters. I see pictures like this and really reflect on the fact that this man could have had whatever he wanted, done whatever he wanted, traveled wherever he wanted to go, and lived a fulfilling life. But he refused to do so because he was so obsessed with this fetishized lifestyle. It took over his life. It prevented him from being able to enjoy his life because he was so perverse. And there's no sympathy for him, trust me. But it's when I see pictures like this, it's like, you know, when you have those kinds of resources and you can live whatever life you want, and yet you insist on ruining your life and the lives of others because somehow you lack the components of what it takes to be a human, what it takes to be a normal human and connect with people in a healthy way. Now we're going to go through a few pictures of celebrities that we have. Obviously, here's Chris Tucker singing and having a good time. So here we are with Clinton. Again, there are so many pictures of Clinton at various times. They're not all from one trip. They're from various trips. Clearly, they spend a lot of time together.
This is the thing, though. We can't assume. Excuse me. I have like something in my throat. Oh, I like Clinton's shirt there. I would wear that. That Jordan shirt. But anyway, we can't assume that any of these people, Chris Rock, Clinton, like in my opinion, I don't assume that any of them knew anything like that. Again, do I think that some of it was like bad behavior, maybe some bad choices? Sure. But I don't assume that anybody knew or participated in anything, in my opinion.
Another picture of Chris Tucker, probably from the same trip that we just saw. And here we have Clinton and Kevin Spacey. It looks like Clinton's being playful with Kevin Spacey, attacking his back or doing something to that effect. If you look at Kevin Spacey and Clinton here, these seem like people that are very comfortable with each other. This doesn't seem to be sort of an awkward to get together with people that don't know each other. They all seem very comfortable around each other. Now, here's
I do think, though, like if you're Clinton, you're used to being comfortable with other people because you have to be to, you know, be leader of the free world.
Picture of Clinton that absolutely puzzles me. I went to a UFC event last year, and when you take pictures with the fighters, this is basically what you do. You look at any picture of somebody with a pro fighter, and that's how they stand. I've never seen anybody stand like that in a picture that's not with someone who's in combat sports. So it's so peculiar to me that he's standing there with his fist up as though he's posing with a fighter. And why I assume that the person he's standing with is not actually someone in combat sports is that she's not doing it also. Typically, that's what you would see. You'd see two people standing next to each other.
Yeah, that's weird. Do you guys think that like maybe he just had something in his hand and he was like bringing his hand up and they just caught him in a picture? Or do you think he's like posed like that? Because if you look at his thumb and his finger right here, it doesn't look like it's a tight fist, in my opinion, but it could be. To me, what if he's holding something and he was bringing his hand up and somebody snapped the picture? I don't know, unless he was posing for it, but I can't tell because we can't see the girl.
They're both making a fist like that. It's just an odd picture. But once again, Clinton just seems to be having the time of his life. Really genuinely looks very happy. And here's Clinton once again, looking as happy as he possibly could. Wow. If you look at the position of his arm relative to this person, she has her hands tucked between her legs. That's a defensive posture.
That is not a good look. I didn't see this. I would be so pissed, you guys. Oh my God. These are the ones that came out recently, right? Like, do you think Hillary saw these before? I mean, I guess he could deny this and be like, what do you mean? I get pictures with people all the time. Look at his hand over here, though. That's a little bit.
Looks a little bit uncomfortable, despite the fact she's got her arm draped around him, putting her other hand here. If she was someone that felt closer to him, she might put her hand on his arm or something else. She looks quite uncomfortable. The way that he's holding his hand, I would associate with confidence, and the way that she's sitting, I would associate with discomfort. So she seems less comfortable in this situation. He seems very happy and content. So it seems pretty obvious that Michael Jackson looks uncomfortable in this picture. His hands are crossed in front of him. He's not looking at anybody. He's not smiling. There's no expression on his face. Whereas Clinton, he's got his hand on his shoulder. Anybody that would be around Michael Jackson, you would probably get the impression, hey, you know what? He probably doesn't want to be touched right now. He probably doesn't like this.
What is this? What's happening? Why are these blacked out, you guys? What is that? What are they looking at? What is this? You don't think she cares? Probably not. What is this? And truth be, watch what you say, Goofy.
But Clinton is someone who likes to take control. So you see him with the hand on the shoulder. I actually see that as a somewhat aggressive maneuver. He's trying for this photo op, even though he probably knows that Michael Jackson wants nothing to do with it. Now, interestingly, if you look at the body posture of Richard Branson compared to Jeffrey Epstein, Branson is leaning in more. He is someone who feels a little bit closer, whereas Epstein is standing upright. He's got his arm next to him, but he's not doing anything that suggests that he actually feels any real affection towards
I
Richard
agree with
Branson. So at this point, I'm not sure how much Jeffrey Epstein actually likes Richard Branson.
Wow.
Now, here's obviously the magician David Copperfield with Ghislaine Maxwell.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of really positive feelings between the two of them. There looks clearly a lot of closeness right there.
Oh, wow. Okay. And think about it. I never saw this, but remember what Dr. G was saying earlier, that if they had a kind of like a father-daughter type thing, that would make sense. That's interesting. Unless she did this maybe to make Jeffrey jealous. I don't know. Or maybe she's really feeling it. She looks like she's feeling it, doesn't she, in my opinion, allegedly?
Now, I don't have any pictures of Jeffrey Epstein with David Copperfield. So I'm curious what the relationship is like there, but it certainly seems like Maxwell and David Copperfield had a very, very positive relationship and positive feelings towards each other.
Is he saying maybe a three-way, allegedly? Is that what he's saying there? And again, this is a behavior breakdown, but that would be very interesting because if you remember, I said earlier how he was standing even, and it doesn't even mean anything, but I wonder, do you guys, is there male victims? I don't know. Is there? I feel like there would be. In my opinion, he is an ultimate predator, and so is she, in my opinion. And I don't think that I looked at her as bad until we read that diary thing, and that was just pretty bad. How that girl was like, Ghislaine did nothing. Like she was supposed to help me, she didn't help me, and then she left. I was like, wait, what? And how she held her hand during. And again, this is all alleged, I guess, but why would somebody just write that?
Each other. They seem to like each other quite a lot. Now here's some pictures of more and more and more massage tables. So many massage tables because everything in his life centered around these ridiculous fantasies. Now I'm just going to skim through one of these documents because it's very representative of the other ones, but it gives us an idea of how Jeffrey Epstein operated. Basically, here's a victim that talks about when she was 16, she moved to LA, that she was encouraged to meet with Jeffrey Epstein. He showed a lot of interest in her, offered to pay for her school, flew her all sorts of places.
You just said I thought he had ulterior motives. But look, look at that. She was overwhelmed with houses, luxury, lifestyle, more than she'd ever seen. The first visit, he called on her to do a massage there, and he put her in a very uncomfortable situation.
Luxury lifestyle. And then ultimately, he would become a perpetrator and ask her to do these things related to massage that would engage in these fantasies. And a recurring theme.
And do you see how he doesn't ask for that until he already has you hooked on those things?
That people don't want to go into a lot of details. A lot of people that talk about this are very uncomfortable. They'll say, I'm in a relationship now. I don't want to talk about this. This is typical of what people who have been traumatized go through. They don't want to revisit these. They don't want to talk about this. They've put it behind them. And then they feel foolish for things that have happened. Even though these are people that were 16, 17 years old. These were kids. Yeah. It doesn't change the fact that it's hard to have to revisit these things. It's hard to have to talk about what it is that they went through. And there's a lot of self-blame that goes into this, despite the fact that Jeffrey Epstein was an absolute predator.
And Dr. John would be proud here for me picking up on this, but there's a lot of shame, unfortunately, that goes into this as well. And regret even, because think about it. If you then do this stuff, you're 100% the victim. No doubt. He is one of the worst. But as of somebody that, anyway, I think that the person might say to themselves something along the lines of, and this is just allegedly in my opinion, but it's not uncommon for a victim to think oh, wow, they were giving me this or that. And so just because somebody exposes you to a lifestyle that you've never been exposed to does not give them the right to do anything. So I think a lot of it goes back to shoulda, woulda, coulda, but it shouldn't, because it wasn't that victim's fault. It should have been in the hands of the adult in the situation, not on the child.
But in every sense of the word, and so was Maxwell. They tag teamed these people in terms of being predators in different ways, but both were equally as bad. So one thing I'm not going to cover is a bunch of thumbnail shots, which are little pictures that I think came off of CDs that Jeffrey Epstein had. There were compilations of all the pictures that he'd taken. Now, one thing is identified, there were a lot of illegal pictures that were removed. It said that over and over and over again. Interestingly, there were also a ton of pictures of Clinton, and some of the discs both had Clinton and had nude people on them. So there is a question that I have as to whether or not there's a reason that they are on the same disc, or whether or not it's just half of its pictures with Clinton and half of its nude pictures that ultimately were removed. Either way, this continues to be a very, very bad look for Bill Clinton. Wow. All right, let's go ahead and wrap things up here. Hopefully this is helping you better understand some of what we observed today and more about the Epstein files. Now, A big part of what I better understand now is that Jeffrey Epstein is someone who was just fetishized and obsessed with massage, that he had these really bizarre fantasies that he so desperately wanted to.
So you guys, because I want to get to another one. I think that I'm going to just take this off for 1 second. Okay. So I want to move on to the next one. So I just wanted to like touch base with everyone real quick. Hopefully everybody's okay. Trigger warning as usual. But wow, this says a lot about him as a person. And I am now interested. I feel like I need to dig more into his past. Like, so if anybody has any recommendations or whatever for, always come to Discord too. We have a really good Discord. But if anybody has recommendations, stuff like that, I would love that, because I guess I could also just Google it or ask ChatGPT to help me find documents. I could do that too. We'll see what happens. But yeah, bad luck, right, you guys? Ugh. I would not want to be in their house right now. All right, here goes the next one. Oh, wait, hold on. It's not the next one. I just have to switch over. Here we go. All right, so the next one I wanted to look at real quick was some of the objects that were in his mansion. Wow. This, you guys, is a trigger for
It's
me.
October 2005.
And I want to say that this is not naughty weird. Most depraved objects from Epstein's Lolita Mansion. And I already liked and I already subscribed. So hopefully you go over there and like and subscribe too. If this person ever sees this, we're just doing this for educational purposes. And we admire your work. And that's why I just want to see what's happening. So we need some context here. And we decided to use your video. So hopefully you're cool with that.
And Palm Beach police raid Jeffrey Epstein's Florida
And I'll also put the link in the description.
home. The officers enter with guns drawn.
Wow.
The tension in the air is palpable. They search every corner of the house and come across unsettling sights.
Oh, wait.
A
Sorry.
dental drill set up in the bathroom. A painting of President Bill Clinton wearing a dress in the Oval Office.
Is it
And
up there?
sticky notes everywhere with the message, "No
Oh,
talk."
wait, hold on. Hold on.
This video is an in-depth investigation into the most twisted and sordid things found in Jeffrey Epstein's mansions, where multiple businessmen and
Sorry
powerful
about that.
people committed a series of depraved acts surrounded by objects so grotesque that they could only exist in the mind of a twisted millionaire.
Wow.
Here are the most depraved objects in Jeffrey Epstein.
There goes that thing up closer, you guys. Not that thing, like the sculpture. What would you consider this? A sculpture, I guess? Art? Wow.
Epstein's mansions. Imagine you're walking down the luxurious East 71st Street in Manhattan. The street is 1 block from Central Park and is considered a low-key area where New York's ultra-wealthy reside. Suddenly you stop in front of an imposing 9-story house guarded by a kind of masks that seem to silently observe everyone who passes by. But this is no illusion. If you look closely, you see that on every corner there is a hidden camera recording every movement that happens on the street. You approach the 5-meter-wide oak door and next to it you see the initials of the owner of the house, in gold letters.
Oh, well.
The atmosphere is disturbing, but you decide to enter anyway, without knowing that this is just the beginning of a depraved journey of no return. As you enter and close the door, the noise of the street disappears completely. Silence reigns in the 9-story house and you come across a staircase that leads to another door. You continue your tour and when you look up you come across one of the most shocking scenes you have ever seen. It is a bronze sculpture of a woman in a wedding dress hanging from a rope, as
Oh,
if
a
trying to
wedding
escape
dress?
from something or someone inside the 40-room building. Epstein clearly
A
wanted to
wedding dress? So this girl, wait, look, I just want to pause it on her real quick. So this female is in a bronze figure of a female in a wedding dress, right? So the bronze figure obviously shows that it's like a solid object. He has money. It's a sculpture. It's heavy. It's, you know what I mean? Like, well, done in his opinion. And I mean, it probably, I don't know. I can't really tell, but, who am I to, I don't know. But so what's happening here? The girl is coming down on her wedding dress from a rope, and we see this when people like come down to rescue people, right? They'll like come down and on the rope, but she's in a wedding dress. This is so interesting to me. I need to reflect on that.
It is a bronze sculpture of a woman in a wedding dress hanging from a rope,
But
as if trying
imagine
to escape
seeing that. Like imagine like walking and seeing that.
from something or someone inside the 40-room building. Epstein clearly wanted to intimidate anyone who visited him from the start. At first glance, the sculpture might seem like just another mansion decorated by an eccentric millionaire, but when you start looking closely, you begin to notice something
Okay.
unsettling. A chess table with pieces carved into human shapes, a small poodle that, upon closer inspection, you discover is stuffed, a stuffed tiger,
What? What?
shapes, a small poodle that,
What? You guys. What the actual?
upon closer inspection, you discover is stuffed, a stuffed tiger,
Oh my
motionless in a
God.
corner. Masks and paintings of deformed faces.
What?
And among all that, a painting valued at $6 million titled Femme Fatale.
I think it's femme fatale, but that's okay. Oh my God, look.
This work by French painter Caban Dongan shows a woman dressed in red touching her chest.
And red is like a sign of confidence.
But if you still haven't grasped Epstein's dark intent,
And that she was holding her breast, which is a sign of like, what does a woman's breast do? It's like very nurturing. That was interesting.
what you'll find on his desk will leave more than a few unsettled. There are two books perfectly aligned in the center of the table. The first is a novel called Justine by the Marquis de Sade, a book that tells the story of a 12-year-old girl who is savagely assaulted. While the other book is the first edition of Lolita, a book that tells the story of a literature teacher who becomes obsessed with a 12-year-old girl. These details are more than enough to give us an idea of what went on in this house. But as if Epstein were trying to present a facade of good reputation to his victims, to one side of his desk is a small table with his most prized possessions, a series of picture frames with carefully chosen photos of several of the most powerful men on the planet.
Oh, look at that.
One of the photos shows Epstein and his girlfriend Ghislaine Maxwell receiving a blessing from none other than Pope John Paul II.
So, real quick, the Lady Lola one, remember that was the one that we saw, the priming, and keep in mind these sculptures that we're looking at real quick, and I will fast forward back to where we were. But the books, this is all priming, so remember that. So having these things out has like, it gives like a message without you having to say something.
The story of a 12-year-old girl who is savagely assaulted.
That's
More than another,
terrible.
Epstein
She's
with
a
his most
minor.
men on the planet. Friend Gillian. Another portrays them with actor Woody Allen and his wife. In another, he appears at a dinner with Elon Musk. But the most surprising is a photo with Fidel Castro and the former
Oh my
president of
God.
Colombia, Andrés Pastrana.
Oh my God, and Ghislaine's in that. Look, Ghislaine's right there. And that's Jeffrey. Who are these two? Do we know? And Fidel Castro? Are you kidding me? What?
With Fidel Castro and the former president of Colombia, Andrés Pastrana.
Oh, the former, oh my God, president of Colombia.
Another of the
Oh,
portraits
that
shows him
one.
sharing knowing glances with former President Bill Clinton and another with billionaire businessman Richard Branson. One of the eye-catching photo frames features a framed $100 bill signed by none other than former Microsoft CEO Bill Gates. The phrase, "I was wrong," can be read on the bill, as if it were the symbolic payment for a lost bet.
I was wrong. Think about that. Wow, you guys. Think about that, okay? So just so that you guys can see the $1 bill. If it says on there, I was wrong, that means, if you think about it, again, legitimately in my opinion, that is so telling. So think about this. Bill Gates is so wealthy and so powerful. And then you have Jeffrey Epstein, who is trying to portray someone that is talented and worthy of that same success, but he really doesn't have like a Microsoft type thing. So, wow. So by having Bill Gates lose a bet and then have to write, like, I'm sure that was part of the bet. Like, I bet you $100 plus you have to sign it and write, I was wrong. I'm sure it went either way, but because he lost that bet or whatever and he had to do this, I'm sure it was a bet, I'm not sure, but why else would he do this? Wow, that just shows, I have one up on you. It's like I am better than you in this situation, so it's like a sign of power. This is so interesting. Wow.
phrase, "I was wrong," can be read on the bill, as if it were the symbolic payment for a lost bet. Epstein boasts photos of his private island with Saudi princes and even President Donald Trump and his wife Melania. This
Remember the Saudi princess thing if we get to the next part.
table served two manipulative purposes. On the one hand, it was a reminder to his victims that he was not just a millionaire,
Ooh.
but someone surrounded by an elite that
The lips and the voices aren't standing up, but it's still okay. Everybody still goes subscribe.
made him immune to any denunciation. On the other hand, the photographs functioned as a warning to his associates, as if to say, "I have something that incriminates everyone. If I go down, you go down with me." Quote. This makes even more sense.
Oh, that's a beautiful room. That's like a gorgeous room. Look at that room. But anyway, that was just like eye-catching. But that does the trick, right? So this is like a room that you wouldn't see anywhere. Like look at the rug and the textures and stuff like that, and it's just like glamorous. And he has all the pictures of those people there. So even if he didn't necessarily have something on everyone allegedly, like he might, you know what I mean? I don't know. But even if he didn't, it's still a way to show that I know people in all places, no matter where you are on earth. So like in other words, like don't even, by like making him appear more prominent to others.
When you look up at the ceiling of any room and realize that there's a camera recording everything. Every visit, every assault was recorded by Epstein's cameras. At this point, do you think your experience at the Epstein mansion can't get any worse? But it's time to go upstairs to the massage floor, where things will indeed get much worse. This is where the decor stops being subtle and becomes completely explicit. The rooms are lit with red lights.
Swanee, I didn't get to see everything yet, so I'm just like in the beginning of all this. I am one of those people where I could get new information and change my mind, but I just don't want to incriminate anyone. But I'm sure like that all that Bill Clinton stuff that was not a good look. I'd be pissed as hell right now if I had to live with him. Oh my God.
There are shelves full of lubricants and body oils. And in every corner are photos of naked women giving Jeffrey Epstein a massage. The main room has a folding table where Epstein assaulted his victims.
Imagine walking into the room and seeing that. Oh my God. Oh my God. She wound up completing, she unalived herself.
In 2011, a woman named Virginia Giuffre published a memoir in which she referred to this room as the dungeon and said that on several occasions Epstein was there. He had tied her hands and feet to this table with a chain so tight that it caused her to faint several times. This house was the center of depraved parties and gatherings for decades. Politicians, businessmen, and figures of power frequented the mansion without anyone noticing. But it was in a 2019 raid that the FBI finally crossed its imposing oak door and discovered all the graphic evidence never seen before. It is July 2019 and the FBI uses a crowbar to force open the door of Jeffrey Epstein's mansion in New York.
Wow, even look at that, right? When you're coming into the house, you have this elite car out front, and look at that door. Like, how grand is that door? And so, again, it just, like, look at the light out front, the whole thing. And it's just that whole illusion of I'm powerful, I'm wealthy. It looks like we have a lack of identity here, you guys, in my opinion.
Neighbors watch from the sidewalk across the street, horrified by what is about to be revealed. The police enter the massage parlor and inside a drawer they find hundreds of hard drives and CDs with labels containing women's names and a handwritten date, many of them
Is that all the data that came out?
minors.
Did that just say diploma? Oh my gosh.
And CDs with labels
Diploma.
containing women's names and a handwritten date, many of them minors. And as if it were a twisted joke by the millionaire, a small ornament from a mass sewer was found with Epstein's photo taped to his face. But if we go back a few years, the police find a small ornament from a mass sewer with Epstein's photo taped to his face. But if we go back a few years, the police found even more disturbing things in
Editing.
Epstein's Palm Beach mansion in October 2005, and police raid Epstein's mansion after receiving a report of an assault on a 14-year-old girl.
Oh, wow. That's right. Is this the one? Did he remember the one that he does the deposition for, and I think he winds up
The officers entered with guns drawn
or
and were
like elected.
horrified by what they found inside the house. The walls were covered with photos of teenage girls in compromising situations.
What?
There were sculptures and paintings
Oh, a
that
teddy
suggested
bear?
intimacy.
That was so grooming.
A painting of a naked person for Epstein to look at while he went to the bathroom, photos of Ghislaine Maxwell giving Epstein a foot massage on his
Oh.
private plane, and for reasons that are still unclear, a set of dentist tools set up in Epstein's bathroom.
What? That's like a doctor chair. What? Oh. Oh, I'm seeing
A
sadistic
set of
stuff,
dentist tools set up in
in
Epstein's
my
bathroom.
opinion.
Teddy bears were also found on a bed and a painting of President Bill Clinton wearing what appears to be his wife Hillary's blue dress in the Oval Office.
What do you guys think it was? That would be a totally different understanding than Dr. G had. But I think either way, right? So what do you guys think? Do you think it's Hillary's dress? And if it was, so we know what it would mean if it was. Either way, it's trying to degrade him in some way. So it's either talking about like his alleged, well, not even alleged, because again, he admitted to it, his affair. Or if this is her sitting there in the Oval Office, it's like him saying that she's the one that's really in charge.
That day, the FBI found two key documents
In
in the
my
Epstein
opinion.
case. One was a manual written by Epstein himself
Yes,
on how
thank
to
you
run
for
the
being
mansion,
here, everyone.
and the other was a birthday book that a group of businessmen and celebrities kept secret from their friends and family.
Yes, a teddy bear with a camera.
Left him explicit and in many cases deeply disturbing congratulations.
Oh, well, a wise woman said that he took in a dental student and set her up with an office. She cared for his teeth and some of the girls there. Again, do you guys see? Oh, you heard it was Monica's? I don't know. But do you guys see how like coercive that is? It's like you're trying to give people things that maybe they didn't have access to. Like, don't worry about it. Just come here. Like, we have a dentist on site. And then even with that girl, the dentist, like, I don't know if he, like, if she was ever taken advantage of as well. I don't know if you know that.
Let's start by examining the mansion's manual. The document was
Manual?
addressed to the lady of the house, Ghislaine Maxwell.
What?
In its 58 pages, Epstein detailed
Look at that ring.
instructions, listing 13 types of oils and lotions to be used for the massages.
What?
The manual also indicated that the toys used during the sessions were to be placed in a basket inside the bathroom for the employees to clean after each encounter.
What toys? What?
But most chilling were the behavioral instructions for the staff. Epstein required all of his employees to be blind, deaf, and mute to everything that occurred in the house.
Right, a wise woman?
The document also specified tactics
Oh,
and types
man.
of girls that Maxwell was to recruit and
Oh,
mandated
look, the braces. Like, that is horrifying. That is so sad, you guys.
that on the first meeting with a new girl, Maxwell had to be present for the entire massage in order to gain her trust. The manual was cold, meticulous, and devoid of emotion, but Epstein's birthday book is a document that showed the worst in his powerful friends. The book had all sorts of content. One page featured a photo of his former colleagues recreating an old photo in bathing suits. On another, Microsoft executive Nathan Merbold wished him a happy birthday with an image of mating animals.
Wow.
Ron Albach, a member of the Beach Boys, attached a
Well, okay. That's a look.
photo of himself and Epstein, dressed as robbers while holding guns for the camera. But businessman Joel Pacho went further. Pacho published a drawing of his Lolita Express plane next to images of women dancing.
Oh my
But the
God.
worst was his second drawing. PCHO drew a picture of
Oh my gosh. And again, what is it with rubbing the feet? Is that supposed to be him laying there and the kid rubbing his feet? And look, it's like balloons and lollipops. Like, what do kids like most? This is grooming. Big time.
Epstein handing out balloons to a group of girls in 1983, and next to that scene he drew another in which he received a massage
There
from a
you go.
group of women in 2003 saying, "What a great country." One of the women had a tattoo with Epstein's initials.
Wow.
On Donald Trump's congratulatory page was an image of a $22,500 check. The figure was apparently part of an inside joke.
What?
On another page, Trump wrote what appears
Part of an inside joke. Think about the personality type that someone has to be able to execute an agreement like that.
to be a coded message, a cryptic conversation about life's enigmas as he drew the silhouette of a woman and closed with the phrase, "May each day be another wonderful secret."
Wow.
The book has a
Wow.
section with congratulatory messages from children that, for obvious reasons, will not be included here. In 2021, Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan mansion was sold for $51 million to a banker from Goldman Sachs.
Wow.
The new owner removed Epstein's initials from the entrance and had the walls of the massage room torn down in an attempt to erase the memory of the atrocities committed there.
That's horrible. Imagine how scared those little girls were going in there. And the fact that Ghislaine was there the first time just shows, like, I really did not realize just how egregious her actions were. Like, the fact that you were there the very first time just says that, I want you to trust me. And then what happens the second time when the girl's expecting her to be there and she's not?
As for the Palm Beach mansion, the story was much more radical. The property was purchased by a real estate developer who completely demolished it and began construction on a new luxury mansion with a changed house number, hoping to bury the residence's dark past. But despite the luxury and all the efforts to rewrite the facade, Epstein's victims will never forget the horrors they experienced there. And well, friends, that was today's.
Well, that was horrifying, you guys. That was horrifying. And it just showed that nowhere in his house, I don't know if anybody noticed, but nowhere in that house did it look as if he, by any means, was engaging in any way, right? Like, he didn't look like that house didn't look very homey. Like, I didn't feel like you went in there and you felt very comfortable. Everything in there was like very intimidating, if you will. So we have another one. Are you guys up for another one? I'll do another one. Let's see what we have. We have, wait, let me, okay. All right, you guys could see. So which one did I wanted to do? So I think it was interesting that Dr. G is Epstein alive? So my daughter's boyfriend, AJ, the one that I talk about all the time, the one whose family is the Burns one, remember? So we're going to look at this one. And he said, he's like, he's alive. I'm like, oh, well, you stop it, like, with the conspiracy. So then I put on Dr. G, and now I'm like, wait, what? So what do you guys think? I mean, I still don't know, but I think that maybe he might have been thinking about it.
You're going to understand why I'm calling it an escape plan. So the way that I've done this is I've gone through and typed out the words on top of this so you can see what I think it all says.
2 minutes and 45 seconds. But let's see.
And you'll understand why I find this so compelling. All right, let's just jump.
Again, this is Dr. G. Everyone go check out Dr. G. He's awesome.
Right in. For the sake of context, we're going to look at a few pictures before we actually get to the escape plans, but I think this will help you understand why they're so compelling and where they were found. Now, if you look at this right here, this is L tier. He was housed in what's called the SHU, the special housing unit. L tier was the unit where he was housed. He was on the right side of this unit. He was the first door on the right. Okay. Now, as we open that door, as we go in, you can see it's disgusting, just covered in blankets, covered in sheets. And as we go down, there's part of, this was not the noose that was actually found on him. So we still don't know where that is, actually. But although that's part of it, this is part of what was found where he was the next morning. Now, the most interesting part of this cell, at least for what we're talking about today, are some notes that were found. Here's one note. Here's the second note, and that's the one I showed you at the beginning. And here is a third note. And this, I think, is actually the other half of the piece of paper.
I did not see any of these documents. Like, I saw it here for Dr. from the doctor here, Dr. G, but I have not seen these anywhere else. It's crazy.
Up here. Now, these pictures had actually been released before. I knew that there was a note, but I was never able to read it because this was the angle, this was the shot that we had. And there
Let me fix
was no amount of zooming in that could make you see more than a couple of letters here and there. It was impossible to translate, impossible to make sense of, but I was always curious what it said. So what kind of notes was Jeffrey Epstein writing in his cell? I really wanted to know. Well, fortunately, now we have the answer. Now, when you first look at this, it just looks like a mess. It's probably very, very difficult for you to read, so I've gone through and translated it. We're going to look at that in a second, but I wanted you to get a chance to see this. One of the things that's important in terms from a handwriting perspective is that I think that Jeffrey Epstein is a very impulsive person. He has really scribbly, bad handwriting, but most of it can.
So put in the chat if you have bad handwriting. Put in the chat whether you have good or bad handwriting. I have pretty bad handwriting. And when Dr. G said that, I thought about it and I was like, oh my gosh, I have ADHD. So like sometimes my brain's going quicker than I can write and it'll catch up with me.
Be translated. I was able to read most of it. And once we really see all of this in context, you're going to understand why I'm calling it an escape plan. So the way that I've done this is I've gone through and typed out the words on top of this so you can see what I think it all says. And then I moved the words so it was next to them so you can see the word right next to what I think each one means so that you can decide for yourself if you agree with my assessment or if you think it actually means.
All right, let's see. We'll agree. We'll see if we agree with it or not. And again, if we don't agree with it, it's just because we had a different interpretation. I think he's so good at what he does.
Something else. So first, let's go through. I'm going to explain what all of this means. The translation I have here, I am very confident in. If there's anything that I'm less confident in, I will tell you. I will point out things that if I'm not sure what it says or if I'm not certain that's what it says. But if I typed it out here, I'm overwhelmingly sure that this is correct. Now I'm going to explain what everything means. And once I'm done with that, then we're going to go through and I'll let you make your own determinations if you think that I got it right. So I'm going to start with what was most obvious to me, the thing that drew my eye first, where it says red notice and I put equals EXT. Now, if you don't know what a red notice is, that's an alert that Interpol puts out if there is a fugitive on the loose. If there's someone that is internationally wanted, a red notice notifies agencies that if this person is found, then you extradite them back to the country where they are being looked for. So that's why.
That's very interesting. So if he was trying to escape, maybe that's one. These are just things, I guess, that he's thinking out.
It says red notice equals EXT. So if there's a red notice out for him, then he will be set up for extradition. That was my first clue. That if we're looking at all of this in context, that he was planning on getting out of the country. That was his goal by writing all of this down. Now, from the red notice, there is an arrow.
Oh, that makes sense, you guys. So he wanted to make sure that he went to a country where he wouldn't get extradited.
Pointing back up to this main circle right here. So that means that if he's MIA in the U.S., in other words, if he's missing, so this would be shorthand basically saying he's missing. For anybody that's watching this that isn't from the U.S., I'm going to try my best to explain various acronyms the way that we would do them here. So MIA would be a way to say that he's missing. So if he's MIA in the U.S., then a red notice would occur. Then a red notice would be set out by Interpol. That's what that arrow means. But if we're to look at this circle, right, MIA U.S., let's look at some of the various branches of this. So visas would suggest that he's going to.
I just didn't want to get copyright striked. So I had to pause it. I'm so sorry. But this is all for educational purposes.
Be planning on going out of the country. He would need to fake his name. He would have to fake visas, but he would need visas. Something I guess he was considering is that he wrote no rights. So it could be depending on the country he goes to, his rights might be different. Interestingly, he wrote tourism here. Now, if
that is interesting, no rights. Oh my God, think about all the things that he's thinking of here. And I think Dr. G is right. So, in my opinion, allegedly. Oh, that is so interesting.
He was planning on leaving the country, whether or not he would be posing as a tourist or whether or not he would be going to places that have tourism. So there's some consideration about tourism because I'm pretty certain that's what that says. It either says tourism or tourist. His handwriting is so bad. You'll see in a second where the confusion is there. Now up here it says EXT tax. It could be EST tax, but I think that what this is estate tax. So in other words, if he is to die, how much money goes to estate tax, or that he's considering the estate tax right here. Another branch has banks, so obviously something that he's going to have to consider if he's going to have access to money. Now, here's one that I am somewhat less confident in, is that there's a name written here with dollar signs next to it. I put a question mark because I don't know what letter that is, but it does look like BLCH, like NIL or something like that. But this is very clearly a name and clearly associated with money. And below that.
So what do you guys think about that, right? I guess banks, you would have to have money, but what do you guys think that is? And why is there a question mark and then IL and then a money sign? Maybe that person owes money or has money. What do you guys think? What do you guys think that is? And guards, I think he's right. That's obvious. Not obvious, but you know what I mean.
You can see it says guards. It says guards clear as day. That is 100% what this says. So whether or not that means that he needs guards, whether or not that has to do with prison guards, That's unclear, but that is very clearly stating guards right underneath this name and the dollar signs. So if we're to look at the top portion of this, if he is MIA, if he is missing, a red notice will occur. He needs to keep all of these other things in mind. These are all things that he is thinking about. Now, if you look in the top left here, you see a number of letters, M and then R with a line to T with a line to M. And then above that, it looks like either a C or an L and then a dot and then a T. I didn't label those, but I think that that's what that says. So the question is, are these different tiers within the prison where he is? Because he's in L tier, M tier is below him. Are these people's names that he's connecting from one to the other? We don't have enough information for that to be clear, but I just want to point this out.
Oh, that is so interesting. So listen to what I think here too. So you have to remember when you're in prison, you're like finally getting consequences for your behavior. That's a collapse of your control. So you no longer have control. That's the one thing when you get there, you get stripped of your control. So Epstein no longer is in an environment where he can stage everything, where he has this here, that there, where he's got certain things on the walls, and all of it is about him. Everything is about his, like, he controls it all. So it's all about me, all about me. And we see this in what? Narcissistic behavior. And I also think we see a lot of antisocial behavior, in my opinion. And I'm not diagnosing him. I'm saying the behaviors that we see are consistent with. And then, so pretty much just remember, he must feel so out of control in the moment of being in jail, and especially knowing that they did the raid on his house and that they were going to get access to all of the things. He knew what he had. He was a very smart guy. So he knew at that point, and he probably felt so out of control. If he did, in fact, take his own life, I would say that that would be an ultimate form of control. It made him feel like he was going to write his end, and that also would stop him from having to face his consequences, which is the ultimate FU too, right? If you think about it. Trigger warning for all this. Although this isn't as much because this is more about his alleged, if he was going to escape.
So if later on, when we get more information, if somehow that makes more sense, we're going to circle back and we'll address that. Now, underneath red notice, he wrote K equals exclamation point, exclamation point. My interpretation of that is he considering whether or not, if he's dead, will there not be a red notice? Or if he gets away with him being dead, is there no red notice then? Because there are 3 exclamation points. I typed that out exactly as it's written. To the right of that are the initials LSR.
I don't understand what that means, the K thing, so I'm just going to take his word for it, allegedly.
And I say initials because I assume that's what those are. I couldn't find anybody in the Epstein files with those initials, or at least typing them out by those initials. I'm not sure who he might know that has those initials.
What else could that stand for, LSR? And what is that around it? Like, is he just circling it? Or because sometimes you have to watch on him. He's like doing shapes.
When I show it to you in a minute, maybe you interpret the letters differently because his handwriting is so bad. But I feel with a high degree of confidence that says LSR, and I don't know what that means, but it's very clear. Now, interestingly, underneath guards over here on the right, he wrote government, and I believe this says clear. So government clear. That's my best read on the second word. 100% certain it says government. I'd say 70% certain that it says clear. My interpretation, he's looking for a government where he would be clear to go. Now, interestingly, if we go back to the left, underneath LSR, it says Muslim. Now, obviously, he's Jewish.
Remember when I said when we saw the pictures back in the other video, and I said, remember this for the later video? That's what I was talking about. So that's where this ties in. So there's actually pictures that we just saw of him with Muslim leaders. So he could have possibly, that could have backed up this theory.
So the question would be, why is he writing Muslim? I interpret that as where he might be ending, where he's thinking about going, where he might end up. Right below it, it says AS. You could consider that Arabic states potentially, or Arab states, because if we go a little bit lower, and I know this is confusing, this is hard.
And you guys let me know in the chat if you think anything different, or if you agree, disagree, and like let us know what you think it is. I mean, it's all alleged anyway.
To follow, there's so much, but I'm trying to get the flow of how he thinks about this, because down below it we see Q-SA. Now there's a lot of different ways you could interpret that. Q could be a question. I think of this, if it's below Muslim and AS, it could be Qatar, Saudi Arabia, or Qatar to Saudi Arabia.
Oh, there's chat.
That's the way I interpret those letters, because he is a very well-traveled person. He knows people pretty much everywhere. So these are not out of the question as far as what these potential initials could mean. And to the right of that, he wrote Nigeria with an exclamation letters, because he is a very well-traveled person. He knows people pretty much everywhere. So these are not out of the question as far.
So I know that that's a little bit further. Wait, you know what I could do? Watch this. Make it bigger. And then let's look at it real quick. Oh, that didn't help too much, but it helped a little bit. Can you guys see it? Or should I go out a little bit? Oh, look. I don't know. It looks different. It looked different on my screen for a minute. I'm so sorry, you guys. For next time, I promise I am going to figure out how to take that off because it's quite annoying.
Far as what these potential initials could mean. Now, to the right of that, he wrote Nigeria with an exclamation point and underlined that. So now that is a country that does extradite to the U.S. So if we were to assume that Qatar and Saudi Arabia are identified, obviously there's Nigeria. These all seem like possibilities, places that he could consider going. So to summarize what we've got so far, we've got a long way to go. At this point, he's been thinking about if he's missing in the U.S. and it's found out that he's missing, then a red notice would be applied. He would need to have all of these other things in place. If we're to go back to the left a little bit, where it says red notice, if you look below that, it says the name Mara, ? Now, unfortunately, I, for the life of me, cannot figure out what it says below that. It says enlist, maybe? It's so unclear. That looks like an E, an N. It's impossible to read that next letter. It looks like an S and a T. So my best guess would be that it says enlist. But that's with a very low degree of certainty. Now, I assume Mara is a name and not...
I do like that he gives us his degree of certainty. I think there's a lot of people that just go with their theory and, they go with it. So I do think that that's important. I am so sorry about this, you guys. I'm trying to look it up right now. Let me see if I go out a little bit more. Is that better? Just for now until I figure it out. Well, there you go. Oh, wait, one more up. Let's see. Maybe this will be the magic one just for a second while I try to look at it and see what the heck's going on. All right, let's see.
Code for something else like Mar-a-Lago. I'm sure some people are going to go there, but that would be strange because there's two R's and that's not really how Mar-a-Lago is spelled. But he is writing in code to some extent. So keep in mind, Mara may not be as literal as it seems. Maybe it isn't literally somebody's name. Maybe it literally is. But that's one of those things we're going to earmark. And as I continue to analyze other files in later videos, maybe we'll circle back to that. And this, I can't read any of it. It looks like it says LSR again, but it's such a low degree of certainty I didn't type it on there. It's completely illegible. So I have to mark this off as something where I can't truly translate any of that. Now, below that, it clearly says gangsters. And below that, it clearly says extort and kidnap. So we're going from red notice, and below that, it says Mara, something illegible, gangsters, then extort, kidnap. Now, what this line of thought is, I don't know if he's concerned that could happen if he ends up in the wrong country, but there's clearly some train of thought here, starting with Mara and ending with extort, kidnap. Now, if we're to go all the way to the left, to me, this looks like the name.
Hold on, I'm going to refresh my screen and let's see. Hopefully, I don't know what's going to happen. But let's see.
He says extort and kidnap.
Oh, wait.
So we're going.
Did I do it? Shut up. Hold on. My husband always says you only have to be 10% smarter than the problem. Look at that, you guys. All right, here we go. Here we go.
From red notice, and below that it says Mara, something illegible, gangsters, then extort, kidnap. Now, what this line of thought is, I don't know if he's concerned that could happen if he ends up in the wrong country, but there's clearly some train of thought here, starting with Mara and ending with extort, kidnap. Now, if we're to go all the way to the left, to me, this looks like the name Nicole. Now, that, once again, that's not with a high degree of certainty, but I can't think of anything else that would fit there. Who Nicole is anybody's guess. There are probably...
Excuse me, you could see the name there. Do you guys see Nicole? I could see how he could get Nicole. What are other things do you guys see? Like, what would this be right here? Oh, that could be here, like the hallway, maybe. And I wonder, that looks like a house. Maybe Nicole's house. That's what I think that is. I think that's like showing a wall. And that's like a window with bars.
People named Nicole in his orbit. There are probably multiple people named Nicole in his orbit, so I'm not going to guess it as a specific person, or I'm not going to guess who it is. Sure, it's a specific person to him, but I'm not going to speculate as to which Nicole this might be. Above that, my interpretation of this picture right here is that I believe this is a little map of the United States. That's what.
Oh, good call. Good call. I see it. Do you guys see it? I definitely see that.
Looks like just a weird little sketch of the United States and a squiggly thing coming out of it. So to me, that looks like a map. And the lines may just be the bars of being in the prison cell. So there's not as much meaning in that part. Now, below that, it says island and people. Now, he's lived on an island. Whether or not he wants to end up on an island, this is somewhat less clear, but those are very clearly the words that are written. So I'm not going to try to interpret too much about what that means because it's its own separate idea. But now I want you to focus on the right side again. Now on the right here, we see it says jet-US prop. Now, what that means is that he's thinking about whether or not the jet that he would be traveling in is U.S. property. Epstein and his associates were obsessed with aircraft registration, jurisdiction, things like that, and that's what jet U.S. prop would be. He's thinking about whether or not the jet he's traveling in is in fact U.S. property, because that does change some things jurisdictionally, as well as whether or not there's seizure and all of these other potential issues that could come up. So the fact
His theories are so interesting, and I think that he's probably right on with that. I mean, in my opinion, allegedly.
that he's thinking about that is important. What else is important
What do you
is that
guys
jet
think?
U.S. prop was written in a different color. Most of these were written in blue ink. Jet U.S. prop was written in black ink. Now, the reason that matters is that means that this was enough of a plan that where he wrote it out and he came back to it. It wasn't just sketched out and thrown away. He came back with additional thoughts later on. Now, below that, you can see this little scribbled box with the word Brad on top. I'm going to scroll up so you can see it without my comments on it. So you see it's a little square with a little building next to it. And on the left, I interpret this as an airplane. At least I believe that's what it is. Or it could be additional buildings. But it very clearly has the word Brad written on top. And then below it and to the right of it, you see what I interpret as
What do you guys think Brad means? Do you think it's like an acronym for something, or do you think it's like a person?
supposed to be where cars and planes are parked. I think this right here is a little airplane.
Oh, wow.
So when I saw this, I immediately thought it looked like a private airport because this shape and design of the building is unusual. Airports are low and
Guys, look how similar that looks. Look at that building, and then over here, and then this over here, and that over here, and then the airplanes and the airplanes here. It literally couldn't match up any better. Wow. And then the runway. And this is the airplane taking off. The jet is U.S. property.
they're large. It's a very distinct look. So I was curious what the closest private airport is. The closest private airport to where he was is Teterboro. It also is one of the busiest. I was curious if he'd ever actually been there, so I typed it in the Epstein files, and it showed that it's been mentioned about 7,000 times. So this is definitely one he's familiar with. It does seem to resemble at least this style of airport. I'm not insisting it is this one, but it certainly looks quite a lot like it. So if nothing else, this lends credence to the idea that this building he's drawing is a private airport. He is thinking about getting to a private airport based on everything else he's saying and getting out of there. And the name Brad is associated with that. Who that is that a pilot? Is that somebody that would help him get there?
I was just going to say, could that be a pilot that he knows that he thinks would take him without giving him up? That is so interesting, you guys.
That's unclear, but the name Brad is very, very clearly written on top of that airport. And you may be thinking, well, he's just fantasizing about escaping, and that may be part of it. I think the unusual aspect of that is that he would put a specific name with it. He would write a name on top of the airport. Now, as far as I know, Brad does not stand for anything. It's not an acronym for anything. I take that in a very literal sense as a name. Now, as you can see right here, a portion is redacted. All we can see.
I feel bad using his whole video here. I don't want him to get mad, and I want people to go to his video to see what else he says. He just talks about, for PB, he believes that this could be Palm Beach, and he looks at, if you see down here, it says to Mark from G. Maxwell, and it says, why do I have no sound on this computer? And then PB, question mark, Ghislaine. And he thinks that it means Palm Beach.
Marks. And just to be clear, so you know that that's actually how he would refer to his computer, I took a snippet from an email from Ghislaine Maxwell. Why do I have no sound in this computer? And then it has PB in parentheses next to it because that's referring to the Palm Beach computer. So this is literally how they refer to these computers. Now, as far as the G/ goes, I interpret that, and this is my best guess. I'm trying to tell you what I think is a guess versus what seems more clear. I'm guessing that that somehow is in reference to Ghislaine Maxwell. So as far as where this PB computer is, I would assume that she is in fact the one who has it. So if we start looking at this in total.
What do you guys think about that? That's interesting.
It becomes very clear that there is a very detailed plan of escaping, and he is actively trying to figure out where he would want to go, how he would get there, and what he would do. Just so you can see for yourself what some of these various words say. I'm going to show you some of the more questionable ones. You can see if you have.
There definitely is, everybody. Go over to our Discord, too, so that you can see that after this.
A different translation. But as we look at this, I put all of the words next to, above, or below my translation so you can see for yourself, see whether or not you think that's actually what it says, or if you have a different interpretation that somehow makes more sense. But I've read a lot of his handwriting. I do feel confident in anything that I actively translated that that's in fact what it says.
Wow.
Now, there is one part that I feel unclear on, and I didn't reference, which is this part right here. It looks like it says Healthline.
Oh, wait, before he says it, before we have any form of priming. So priming would be if we heard exactly what he said. So like if we saw Brad and he wrote Brad, our brain already sees this. So we already are primed. And I don't think he's doing that like on purpose. I'm just saying that's how our brains work. It's just a reaction. So before we hear what he says, that might prime our brain. What do you guys see there? What do you think? Can I make it bigger anyhow or zoom in? I don't know. I'll try. No. It's like, no, you can't do that. But okay, tell me if anybody can see any of that. It is really like scribble. Heathero, I see Heathero. I see that. Heather. And then what's this? Dot it. And then I have no idea. Good for Dr. G for trying to figure it out.
Heathrow, or something that starts with Heath. But it's so hard to read, I don't want to present a potential interpretation because all four of these are right next to each other, and I think they would all be based on getting these right. And this is the one.
And wait, this would be leading to something, right? So what is this? Why does everything always have to be like penis-ish when guys draw? Seriously, look at this. Like if you just look at this on looking at even down here with the airplane. Look, the airplane, same thing, you guys, with the wings. And oh my gosh, you guys, stop it right now. And it's also very knifey, but it's definitely very phallic. Very phallic. Do you guys see that same thing? And over here too. Dude. Wow. And I bet you it's I mean, not I bet you, but it probably is more subconscious than conscious. At least most of the time, that's how it is. But who knows?
One part that feels very uncertain to me. So if you have any thoughts about what this says, the one below it looks like it says press or press T. And then after that, it looks almost like it says 3 hits or shorts or shots. This is just too unclear. So I would love to be able to have a full interpretation of this, but this makes it impossible. But as you look with words like gangsters, it seems very clear that's what it says next to it. Extort, kidnap, it seems very clear that that's what those words are. Having completely abysmal handwriting myself does help me, I think, understand this a bit more. And as you can see, the name with the $sign, BLECH, could be an L, I suppose, but I would think BLECHNIL or something along that line, or that last L could actually be an S. When we look at all of this together, it seems pretty clear that his goal was to get out of there, and he was thinking about all of the different logistics of doing that. Now we're going to briefly look at 2 more documents. These will be quick, but they do give a little bit more color to what we just looked at. Wow. Now, this next document right here, I'm not going to bother reading through all this. I don't think it's of consequence, but this is based.
All right, it says, kept me in a local shower stall for 1 hour. So somebody kept me in a local shower stall for 1 hour. Nork sent me in bunt food, giant bugs. And wait, giant bugs, something my hands. Oh, what does that say? Giant bugs, something my hands, no fun. Oh, wow. What do you guys see for that? I can't wait to see what you guys see. There's like a delay. Yes, burnt food. Thank you. Burnt food. Nork sent in burnt food. Good one. Yep. Crawling near my hands. Oh my God. What? So someone, and this someone, wait, what does this say right here? Like, what's this name? Like, is that a name? Oh my God. Kept me in a locked shower. Oh, a locked shower. Oh, but doesn't that look like local? Oh, it could be locked. You're right. A locked shower. It so can be. I see it. Well, either way, they were kept, meaning it was against their will. Wow. So someone kept me in a locked or whatever shower stall for 1 hour. Nork, I don't know if that's the name, sent in burnt food. Giant bugs crawling under my or crawling near my hands. No fun. Oh,
Basically him complaining about being in prison. But then when we flip it upside down, which is down here,
oh, he said it was him complaining about being in prison. Oh, you guys, put that into context. So who could have been keeping him? So this is Jeffries? Noel sent in. It could be. Wow. Why would they redact that? Like, what? That obviously, if you could write Noel or Nork or whatever the heck it says, like, why is the other one redacted? This would be why he's in prison. So it's not like he's at his house and it's before. The name, but there's another name right here. Interesting.
Complaining about being in prison. But then when we flip it upside down, which is down here.
What does it say? I don't know if he turns it around.
Here, it comes out with something else.
Oh, there we go. Oh, look, he put it together. Of course he did. Good job. Good job, doctor. Everybody go subscribe.
Does seem a bit more relevant. So at the top, it says something about data. That's unclear, but we do have the years 2002 to 2005. We have two initials below that, which I would assume are names, but maybe they stand for something else. But once again, they are coded. He does not want this to be obvious what he's talking about. But the more significant part is directly below that. Jail out equals 10.
Yeah, maybe.
Now that seems pretty clear. He's talking about getting out of jail. Now, what does the 10 stand for? Is he paying somebody $10 million? Is it 10 o'clock? What is 10? All we know is that he is saying jail out equals 10. And I think,
yeah, what do you guys think that means? And it's underlined, which means that it's probably important. You know what I mean? Like, you usually, if you're like, that would be important to me. Oh, I see where he sees data there, but what does that say? That says something data. What do you guys think that says? And then over here, nothing or all stood. He said nothing at all. But what's this last word? And then no. Oh, what does that say, you guys?
I think that's extremely consequential, particularly given the context of the other page we looked at.
Oh, I think it's nothing or all, Critter Watcher says. Stance. Maybe I'm getting out or offing himself. Cuffy says maybe money. Addie says top 10 would be your most important. Yeah, Sweeney says no data. Yes, Swanee. I don't know why I said Sweeney. Swanee, it's Swanee, right? No data. You're so smart. That's exactly what I think it says. Oh, that's interesting. And what's FLD? Is that like Florida or something? Or no? I don't know what that could be. I don't know that. I'm saying, like, what could it be? Wow. And then you say no date. It could be no date. It could be no date. This is so interesting. I love to see what other people say. Options of consequences. Where is that at? Let's see. Where is that? Where is that? Florida Law Department. Maybe Florida Law Department. When he was in trouble in Florida. His own shorthand. Absolutely his own shorthand. Yes, it is harder to tell what's the print on it. We'll have to find it. And then the entire thing is his opinion, consequences. I mean, his options. Sorry, there's a thing in front of this of consequences. I wonder what jail out 10 equals. Did he think he was going to be out in 10 years?
Now below it, some of this is written very clearly, but it's unclear what he's referring to. So he says nothing at all. And then the last word, straw, show.
So wait, maybe he means that maybe he's like looking because he didn't go to trial yet. So in my opinion, could this just be that he's like hoping that there's no data and that his worst like case scenario or best case scenario rather is that he gets out in about 10 years and that they have no data at all on him and then specifically probably here. That would be so interesting. And then no and me. What does that say in the middle? No sight of me? Or no? Hmm. I have no idea. What do you guys think that says?
I just can't read those middle letters enough to make that make sense. And then below that, no, it looks like it says no sign me, but it definitely says no something me. So this obviously pairs together with the jail out equals 10, but he just writes so strangely, it's impossible to give you full context. And I don't want to make any major assumptions about what this is.
Oh, a wise woman says maybe if he doesn't get out in 10, then he has nothing to live for. Because how old was he, you guys? Wasn't he like, I don't know, how old was Jeffrey? Do we know? But he probably did like the math in his head and was like, anything more than that, like, I haven't. Oh, a wise woman is a wise woman. Wow, upper 60s. So you're in your upper 60s. Wow, that is so smart, a wise woman. Good job. A plus, A plus. So, oh my God, that is so, so good. I am so glad that you said that because I 100%. Here, this is what I have for you. Ready? That deserved that. 100%. So I 100% think that that is so smart that you said that. So that makes total sense in my opinion that if there's no data, specifically, he was probably worried about this particular time. I don't know what this is because we can't see what it is underneath, but he interprets it as IWU. Does anybody know what that might be? Yeah, wise woman is right on, spot on. But I totally agree. So I interpreted this too as meaning like maybe the minimum is getting out of jail in 10 years is his best case. And then like you were saying, maybe, oh, this makes total sense. If it's anything more than that, then I have nothing at all. Like there's no point. But what does this say? What do you guys think that says in the middle?
Saying. So now this is the last page, blankets, AVR, and Medi. And then it says watch, exclamation point. Now this is very interesting because he had an excessive amount of blankets in his prison cell. We know that. That's very well documented. That was acknowledged in the OIG report, actually. So the fact that he had excessive blankets.
Oh, he was 66 when he died. Thank you.
Fact. AVR, the cameras were not working. So we know for a fact the cameras did not work at that time. And the last one is Medi, which is how people that think he escaped would have done it, would have been through medical. And he says, watch, exclamation point. So what is it that he's watching for? Something to do with the blankets, the AVR, or the Medi. But those are three of the big things that had to be taken care of if he was actually going to pull off something like this. So I think this page, despite the fact it's just a couple of words, could potentially be very consequential. All right, let's go ahead and wrap things up here. Hopefully this is...
What do you guys think about that? Look at that again. So what do you guys think about that? Blankets? What did he say the middle one was? And then Medi? He had a medical device he used in the jail. For what? Do we know? And there was a ton of blankets in there. And that does kind of look like it looked like the halls or whatever. And that's probably what it looks like. That's probably a hall right there. And these are halls. And he's probably like saying, where are the lookouts? What does that say over here? I wonder. I don't know what that says, but it's underlined, so it's probably important. That's so interesting. What was the one in the middle? Do you guys know? Let me see. Right before Diana living allegedly took place, wasn't he wanting to get a ring for a girl that was going to have his child? Was that what we were reading, you guys remember? And she had a miscarriage, allegedly? Didn't they get married or something? Is that the one you're talking about? That's so interesting, though. Wow. Well, you guys. All right, hold on. Let me come back over here. And okay. So that was interesting. Okay. So interesting. So let me think. What would I say about that last? That was interesting. What do you guys think? Like, do you think? I think that that definitely could have been an escape thing. Like, maybe these were his options, like you guys were saying earlier. Maybe he was trying to see, like, what are his things? And that was the end of it. Like, it was like on the other side. So it was this or that. Wow. That was so interesting. But the part about escape or attempted escape, right? This is consistent with what we see in psychology with behaviors consistent with like narcissistic antisocial behavior. Again, I'm not diagnosing anyone. I'm just saying what I see with the behaviors. So remember, we were looking at coercive control. Okay. So this is when he wants to now outsmart the jail. Like he can outsmart it and he can escape the jail. Like he'll be the one that gets out. And you have to remember that the person that has coercive control, when they're outside of jail, they have literally the control of, and like I said before, it's not just control where you're being mean, because that happens too. But a lot of the times, coercive control is like a mind F. It's like, let me do some things for you to groom you, to get you to trust me. And then he brings Ghislaine in, allegedly, right? And she winds up making the victims feel at ease. Like, how egregious is that, right? And then the girls, any part of safety was taken from them. So, wow. But when you remove somebody like this, when you remove their surveillance techniques and their networks, like all the people you see in all those pictures throughout the house, we see them tonight, right? You see all of that stuff. When you see all those things, that was a way to show my prestige, my power, my authority. I want you to have that perception of me type thing. But when you go to jail, that gets stripped from you, right? So you get that control taken away from you. So he must have felt very out of control in his environment. And it would make sense to me why, he might have taken his own life. Like I could see why he might do that. But I can also be convinced otherwise too, if I saw, you know what I mean? So I'm open. But what do you guys think? He was on another level, sadistic, in my opinion. Like he's literally up there with the worst of them, in my opinion. And do you guys, I want one of the things that for you guys to see with coercive control too, that a big part of that is by like rubbing elbows, as they say, with the rich and famous. Even if they didn't do anything, right? Think about this. Let's say you were, and I'm not speaking for any of the, I'm just saying there has to be somebody in the group that didn't do anything wrong, right? But because you've taken a picture with him or been at an event with him and gotten your picture taken with him, later on, you then find out all of this alleged information. And now it comes out that there's a picture of you with him. And even if you're innocent, perception's reality, even if it's not real. So if there's pictures of you with that person, right, people automatically start thinking that it's you, that you're part, you go to, what do they say? You go to bed with dogs, you wake up with fleas, right? So, and again, this is just allegedly in my opinion. So, and what do you guys think of that? So let's see what you're saying over here. Addie says, in my opinion, some people of his character may rule a country, but he ruled the rulers in some sense. Now, Addie, that is so interesting. And that's a very good comment. That's an A comment, right? So let me tell you why. Because this is a personality thing here. He was able, and this is very, in my opinion, sociopathic. So it's antisocial personality disorder. That's just what we call it in the DSM, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. So, and this is just my behaviors. I'm not diagnosing. I feel like I have to say that because God forbid. But anyway, but if I had to narrow it down, if somebody said, "Did you think he was more like a psychopath or a sociopath?" In my opinion, I would say sociopath, and the reason why is he has empathy, like enough empathy. Now, not empathy in the way that you're thinking, empathy in the way that he was able to feel emotion enough to know how to use that emotion to manipulate his victim, right? To get them where he needed them to then, do the ultimate whatever he was doing to that particular victim, allegedly. Does that make sense to you guys? Hopefully that made sense. Wow, this was so interesting. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I need to go get a shower or something. It's like so gross. And think about like a lot of these girls, like is all their names out and stuff? Like I know that they covered a lot of the victims. Yes. Is it, wait, okay. So Swanee says, is it emotion if he uses it that way? So Swanee, when I say emotion, I do not mean the ability to feel guilt and remorse. When you have a personality disorder like that, like an antisocial personality or a narcissistic personality together, this is probably somebody that doesn't feel guilt and remorse. However, they do feel things like abandonment, self-pity. Does that make sense? Stuff like that. So that's what I mean by that. Oh, thank you. Girl power, Addie. I love that. One photo, it would make sense. Several photos with him. Oh, 100%. That's it. Not like I said. Could you imagine? What would you guys do? Like, I feel like I'd be like, okay, you need to go. Like, even though that was so many years ago, I don't know that. But again, I don't judge. I really don't. That was so long ago. They might have, like some people said, they might have their own, like, I don't know, agreement, maybe. Who knows? To each their own. I don't know what their thing is. I'm down for whatever they're down for. It just has to work for the couple. It doesn't have to work for me, right? So there you go. Oh, yes, Lucy. Power, girl, power. So let's see. So did that make sense, though, Swami, with the emotion? Hopefully it did. But again, this person wouldn't feel guilt and remorse. So finding out that, there might be a girl that is upset or, this, that, or the other, he didn't feel like guilt and like, I shouldn't do this anymore, or I'm so sorry, or, you know what I mean? None of that. If anything, he just used it to learn how to better control and manipulate other people. You guys head over to my Discord. Cuff, you just put it in the chat. I'm going to go. It's really late and I need to go to City Hall in Philadelphia. So everybody say a prayer for me tomorrow. I'm just kidding. I love City Hall in Philadelphia, but it's going to be freezing. I'm going to freeze to death. And I have to go get my birth certificate because apparently, do you guys, are your parents' names? I don't even know if you would know offhand, but I thought I had my birth certificate. But allegedly, not allegedly, I know this, you need to get a passport. You need to have at least one of your parents' names on your birth certificate and not like hand signatured or whatever. It has to be like printed on it. So I now need to go to City Hall in Philadelphia, and so does my husband, to get this because we both need to get a passport because I waited till last minute. Oh, but anyway, I appreciate you guys for coming here tonight. Oh, tomorrow night at 9:00, I will be in my state. You go to the health department to get a birth certificate reprinted. Oh, I wish. I have to go to City Hall. Ugh. But anyway, it's just that it's so busy. That's the problem. Like, that's the real issue. It's like there's nowhere to park. It's like $5 million to park for like 5 minutes. You know how it is in the big city. But anyway, what was I saying, you guys? I don't even know because I'm tired. I really am. I'm so tired. So I'm going to go, but hopefully you guys head over to, oh, I know what I was going to say. Tomorrow night at 9 o'clock, I'm going to be on DT. So it's just like dual stream. So come to my, come hang out with us here. But it'll be a dual stream. And we're going to talk about Nancy Guthrie. You guys, what do you think about that real quick? Does anybody have an opinion? Let me know. Is there any updates? Does anyone know? I know like JLR has been out there on the scene for a minute, which is good. Good. And he said to everybody that they are more than welcome to use his stream. So that was cool. They have several theories. Do you have any? And again, just a theory. City Hall, not the health department. I'm going to look into it, a wise woman. I'm in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Well, and that's where I was born. So we have to go where I was born and where he was born. We were actually born in the same hospital, 2 weeks apart from each other. I'm older than him, though, by 2 weeks, and he tells everybody that. He makes sure everyone knows. You cannot, I know, everybody has their own opinions. I was just saying that I didn't know if anybody saw anything. Wait, who's not with us anymore? Oh, wait, who? I have ADHD. A wise woman. I believe it's someone very close in the, oh, you don't think, oh my God, you don't think that Nancy's here with us anymore? I don't either, unfortunately. You believe that it's someone very close to the family circle that had motive and means, and unfortunately, I think it's going to be pretty dark when it comes to light. Isn't that so unfortunate? You know what? I was thinking like the back door's open and the front door is closed, but there's the blood out front, which I think it looks like drips, but I also think it looks like when you cough. So I wonder if like her face was close to the ground. And again, this is just alleged in my opinion. This is speculation totally. But I was just thinking, could it be that the person got in through the back, like with the cameras, taking the cameras down, and then maybe put their hand out the front door and ripped it off the camera there, and then comes out front, or the opposite. Maybe they go to the front. No, I would think that they would do the front door last, because then, right, because you would want the car, unless you could get the car around back. I don't know the property well enough. Does anybody know? Because if not, if we did it the opposite way, maybe they knocked on the front door and she answered and they had a struggle, you know what I mean? And then they go out the back door and they just weren't trying to lock the gate, the door type thing, because you know what I mean? Nobody's like, oh, let's lock the door, unless maybe they did. So what do you guys think about that? Which way do you think it was? You live in a different state where you were born and ordered yours online. The problem is, I waited so long to get, like we both did, to get our passports, that we need to get it like now and still have it expedited. It's like a big thing. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so stressed out. And both my husband and I both got scammed and like something, I don't know. It's a big mess. But anyway, I had a really stressful day and I worked really hard. So I'm going to go. And I appreciate all of you for being here. And please tune in here tomorrow night at 9 o'clock to talk more about the Nancy Guthrie case. And please put in the chat too, whatever you want. I read everything, you guys. And for people that put, comments in any of my videos, anything, I respond to every one of them. So please come join us in Discord. Thank you to my mods that are always here to have my back. I'm nothing without you guys. I'm nothing without you subs and the members. Oh my gosh, thank you so much to the members. Oh wait, oh my God, hold on. I made a thingy, but let me see if it's not right here. I'll play it next time. But it was just like I did like a screen record of all of. Wait, is this it? Nope, that's not it. Okay, I'll show it next time. But it was of all of my members and stuff, and it was like a thank you reel. And I feel like it was right here. Let me see if it's right here real quick. What the hell? And I could play it another time too. Let's see. If it's not right here, I'll just play it next time. I'm so glad I was able to take the chat off the screen, that I learned how to do that. And now I know how to put it back on too if we need it. Okay, I don't know where I put, hold on, I know where this is. I'm going to like see it as soon as we hang up, and I'm going to be so annoyed at myself. Is there a search? There is. All right, here we go. I think I might have found it. All right, hold on. All right, let me share this with you. Roll credits live. Let's see what happens. I never did this before. Let's see what happens, you guys. It's supposed to roll the credits live, but I don't know. I guess we'll see. I put, oh wait, it says, oh, on Twitch it did. How about YouTube? Hold on. I think I have to do them separate, which is ridiculous. And YouTube's where most of you are. So roll credits live. All right, let's see if you guys see it now. Credits sent, it says. That would be so cool, you guys, if I figured it out. It said that it was sent. So hopefully, I don't know if I have to maybe log off. Do you think that's the trick? I guess we're going to find out right about now. All right, you guys. If not, I'll play them next time, I promise. I'll see you later. Oh, where's the credits?